And what is going on, everybody? No RB in the house today, so you guys are stuck with me. My name is Sean Bernard. I've been on here before. You guys might be familiar with my work over on Sixers Digest, Pick Swap Media, and Fox Sports The Gambler, but excited to be filling in for RB tonight. So make sure you guys are staying active in the chat, coming in and hanging. Already with a question here. Is Tobias starting? Tobias is continuing to start, but we do have a bit of a unique lineup that these Sixers are going with. Mo Bamba getting the starting nod over Paul Reed for the first time all year, and quite a surprise in that situation. That personally, I thought the leash on Mo Bamba was pretty short in Nick Nurse's mindset, but clearly not the case because he is getting a little extended run today. We'll see how long that lasts or what this means to Paul Reed. This very easily could just be a matchup standpoint, something where they want to limit Paul's fouls early on, and Charlotte does have a decent amount of size. And this game in particular, I can't believe it, but this is a must-win for the Philadelphia 76ers. That this is a team that we know the struggles. We've seen the way things are floating down the standings, and I do want to begin by taking a quick look at these standings. The Sixers have dropped pretty significantly in the absence of Joel Embiid. I'm going to share my screen right here with you guys. Taking a look at this. And as you can see, the Sixers down in the 5 seed now. Pretty tough. That you got to get the wins when you can take them, and this Charlotte team is a prime example of that. So as you can see, the way that things are shaking out, the Sixers with their 33-25 record, tied directly with the Orlando Magic as far as games back, who have a 34-26 record. The Pacers in that 7th seed, not far behind as well. And then right below that, the Miami Heat hanging in there and playing some really good basketball right now. So the point being that the Sixers cannot afford to waste the opportunities that are in front of them. The games that are winnable, they must capitalize on, and that's exactly the case tonight. Another storyline that I did want to get to specifically before this game tips off here is what was touched on in the comments here, Tobias Harris. And what I do not want to see from Tobias Harris, or what I do not want to see, period, is the standing ovation for Tobias Harris. That is something I want no part of, and I have seen that floating around the Twitter, the timeline, all the social media circles, that this is not the case. I know how excellent the Trey Turner storyline worked, how great that was for the time being, but a much different situation with Tobias Harris. That with Trey Turner, we knew that at a point in time, he was a high-level elite baseball player, far above the level that he was playing, and the hope was to get him back there for a guy that was so in his head and really trying very hard on the field. For Tobias Harris is what Tobias Harris is, that there's not that much room for upward growth. Yes, he's playing probably the worst basketball of his career, something that I'll say definitely in a Sixers uniform. This stretch, at least, has been absolutely horrid by him, but I don't think the standing ovation is a solution for it. And tonight is the type of night where the Sixers are absolutely going to need Tobias, that they have to find ways to generate out offense, that it can't all be on Tyrese Maxey's shoulders. And Tyrese Maxey, by the way, I think has been excellent during this shorthanded stretch without Joel Embiid, that he's proving that he's more than just the co-star to Joel. There's been some flashes. That Celtics game, I know obviously it ended with a pretty comfortable win for Boston, but I thought for the first half of the game specifically, Tyrese Maxey looked like the best player on the floor, and that includes Jason Tatum. That includes Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis. It was Tyrese Maxey that on both sides of the floor was dominating, picking Jaylen Brown's pocket, going the other way, and I need that type of effort from him today. So appreciate all you guys for hanging with me in here. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like on this video. Let's run up those numbers and get those going here. Appreciate all the members in the chat already and excited for a game that will go down. So before we get ripping for this game, I do want to hear your predictions in the comments. Let me know a score. I'm excited to see who's closest. I personally am feeling optimistic about this, that I think this is going to be a blowout win by the Sixers. I think a 20-plus point victory for the Sixers team. I know there's going to be very few of those, particularly without Joel Embiid, but this is one of those opportunities. That for Charlotte specifically, no LaMelo Ball and no Brandon Miller. That those are their two best players. Brandon Miller particularly has been having an excellent second half of the season. And Bryce, where can you find my channel? That is Sixers Digest and Pick Swap Media are the two that I run and work on there, as well as on Fox Sports The Gambler. You can catch me over on those airwaves as well. I like this prediction from Jig Money here, 10 to 15 point win. Yep, I think that should be the expectations. We got Sixers will lose by 45. You can never fully take that off the table with this Sixers team because, unfortunately, when you think you can predict them, you simply just can't. And there is a part of me that is concerned tonight. Could be one of those nights for sure. But we will see. I'm feeling pretty good overall. As much as these Sixers are shorthanded, there are concerns. And frankly, we know the way this team has looked lately. I just think this Hornets team is straight up that bad, that there's just that much of a talent gap. And there is, from the Sixers side of things, even a little more shorthanded things to acknowledge. See in this comment here, Kelly Oubre 20 points. Unfortunately, I would smash the under on that because Kelly Oubre is out with a shoulder injury tonight. No KJ Martin either. So more issues with as far as the injuries. I think the guy that steps up, and this has been a theme throughout the past couple games, it's Ricky Council IV. That's the guy that I do expect to get a true opportunity today. That I'm very intrigued for what Ricky Council IV brings to this team. I love the athleticism he plays with, the hunger that he plays with, and it's just honestly really refreshing to see this level of athlete with this level of determination really going all out in every game. That particularly with Tobias Harris, this has been one of my frustrating points. Is it feels like everything has been so catered to making sure he finds a flow or helping him find a flow. And then you contrast that with a guy like Ricky Council IV. There is 0 plays called for him. There is 0 design runs to create a shot for him. He just does it on his own. He just finds a way to impact winning that he goes, whether it's put back dunks, whether it's getting out on the fast break. He's been terrific. And I cannot I cannot overhype how impressed I have been. Getting this prediction from Bryce here, Sixers 113 to 101. Yep, I'm cool with that. And I even would like it a little more. That this is a matchup that I want these Sixers. Again, they don't have very many opportunities for this to be a blowout victory. So this is one of those games that they have to step on the throat and assert themselves. That I really do feel that is the case. We will see if that's ultimately the case. They are home, so glad to see them back in Philadelphia. They've had a tough homestand, and I know everybody's very down on the Sixers team, and rightfully so. The on-floor product has not been anything worth sticking up for, but I do think it should be noted that they just played the 4 best teams in the Eastern Conference. We're talking about the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, even the Miami Heat. You want to throw in that mix. That their run, the New York Knicks, obviously the loss to them as well. The run that they've gone on, these are tough teams. That this isn't some fluff part of their schedule. And that's kind of one of the unfortunate things about the timing of Joel Embiid's injury is the reality is these Sixers had their easy part of the schedule already. This is kind of the meat and potatoes of it, the tough stretch to go. And it's unfortunate you got to go without your superstar. Now, Joel did speak to the media yesterday. He was very open on his desire to come back, saying he does not care on where they are in the standings, what the opportunity, that he is solely focused on returning to the floor. So that is a great sign. And frankly, it was good to hear his voice speak through things. He also acknowledged that this was an injury as far as dating back to before that specific thing. So we will see how all that plays out. Getting a comment here. I disagree with Ball being one of their best players. Not a LaMelo Ball guy. So he's totally overrated. Can't shoot at all. And his defense makes Trae Young look like Scottie Pippen. He definitely has his flaws as a basketball player. I'm not going to say he's perfect, but I do think he's a guy that absolutely raises both the ceiling and floor of that team. And even while he does it with a unique flair and in ways that sometimes throwing passes overly reckless, there's still a level of creativity that I think this team desperately lacks. Who do I think is going to the finals? Tough to say right now. It's tough for me to go anywhere but Boston in the East at this moment, but I don't think they're impenetrable in the way that this isn't the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant. This is a team that is still beatable in a 7-game series, but I do give Boston the edge in the East. Out West, I think it's a little more wide open. I personally am jumping on the Oklahoma City Thunder train that I think they're far more legitimate than people are giving them credit. I also love this comment from Prince here. I think the Knicks are probably the second best chance in the East. Personally, I think that any team facing them in a 7-game series is not going to have any fun. And I'll also point out the Miami Heat. I'm back in on the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, they do this every year where they sleepwalk through the beginning of the season, begin to turn it on as the playoffs get here. And that's exactly the case this year, that they added enough with Jaime Jaquez, obviously Terry Rozier. They've got some guys there that scare me quite a bit. Prince going with OKC and the Nuggets. I agree. I think it's tough to count out Denver. Jokic is still playing at a ridiculous level. So it's going to be tough here. And I do like this comment as well. True sickos in here. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you for hanging with me, Brian. And yeah, this is a true sickos matchup. That if you're watching these Sixers versus Hornets without Joel Embiid, that means you're one of my people, is what that means. So very excited that we're gonna go see what this how this shakes out tonight. They should be getting ready to do the opening tip pretty soon. Looks like they're coming back from commercial break and getting ready to run things here. Once again, get those predictions in for what the final score will be. Make sure you're dropping a like to run up the likes, see how many we can get this up to. I want triple digits. I want high numbers. I want to be able to report back to RB and say we crushed this from the numbers standpoint. So appreciate all you guys for helping out with all that. As far as some of the X factors for this game, number one, I'm still going to stick with Tyrese Maxey. But I think that's the front and center obvious one that the Sixers cannot afford for him to have any of his down games. That as great as he's been, as pretty much perfect as he's been for this team, that has to be the standard at this point. That we now know you are an all-star. That's the standard on a night-to-night basis. You are that guy. Here are the keys. That is the expectations for Tyrese Maxey, and that should especially be the case against a team with Seth Curry, Nick Richards in the starting lineup. This is a team that you should be the best player on the floor. That's what I want to see from Tyrese Maxey tonight. And they are lining up for the opening tip right now. We got Don Boyle chiming in with a 114-102 76ers win. Love that. Standing ovation for number 12, or wouldn't even work. I don't think it would work. I do have it muted on my TV as the opening tip goes to the Sixers direction. So let me know if there was some sort of standing out. The other point I had here is it's not like as clean as you can do it. And the Sixers run pin down for Tyrese Maxey an open three, but can't hit on the first possession. Like in baseball with Trey Turner, there's the very specific, like him walking up to at bat, they announce his name and there was a standing ovation. Like even with the Sixers, obviously there are the intros, but when you watch the intros, like it's dark in there, they're shooting off flames, doing all that. It's not like this pure moment where they just go Tobias Harris. It's pretty fast speed. So there's not really the opportunity for the standing ovation the same way. They might have to do it like the free throw line or something like that, but he doesn't really get the free throw line either. And frankly, I think it's best to just avoid all around. And Buddy Hield gets things started for the Sixers from the scoring standpoint. A little mid-range pull-up for Buddy. I've been impressed with Buddy. He's definitely cooled off a little since his first 4 games that he spent here. But it's very clear that there's more to his game than just a shooter. And the way I think people portray him at times, and specifically throughout his career, I think has absolutely been portrayed that way. He's got some playmaking ability. He's been able to create for others. And there's just like this off the dribble ability to attack a closeout, his finishing around the basket. There's just more layers to his game than I think a lot of people give him credit. We got Ryan Rowe checking in. What's up, Ryan? Appreciate you for hanging out here. 125 to 112 76ers. I like that as well. Everybody floating around seemed to be a 10 to 15 point victory for the Sixers. I feel pretty great about that. So very excited. And a standing ovation couldn't hurt, could it? So why not? My only pushback there is, and let me share these stats on the screen so we can have this going next to me. My only pushback to it not hurting is, I don't know if you guys remember the little dust up that Tobias once had with the fans. There was that brief period of time where it was wearing on him. He was getting frustrated, and it seemed like he was taking it pretty personal. Like that felt like there an extent where he wanted. Like I remember there was one clip going around where Tobias scored a basket, he cheered, and Tobias was like barking back and is saying how like don't even cheer if you're booing before and all that side of things. So I think like there is a chance that if they were to do this standing ovation operation, that Tobias would just take it completely the wrong way. Like even Trey Turner, as much as obviously it worked, it's a great story, and he turned himself around. That was less about the ovation itself and way more about Trey Turner just remembering who he is as a baseball player. That comes back to my point of Tobias Harris is who Tobias Harris is. And sure, it can't hurt. Maybe it'd be nice to show him a little bit as Tobias shoots a 3 and airballs it completely right on cue for Tobias Harris. Yeah, and Prince chiming in. Yeah, I knew Prince would remember this. I remember a clip where he was even clapping sarcastically. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That like that kind of attitude, I think Toby would take it the wrong way. And I understand that essentially it would be a little sarcastic from the Sixers side of things as well, that they're obviously not rewarding you for the way that you've played with this standing ovation. And Philadelphia catches a lot of heat for, their treatment of athletes. I've seen the Darius Slay comments floating around these past couple days as well. But the difference being that when things are going well, if you leave it all on the floor, they'll love you forever. And that's what makes Philadelphia fun. Yeah, and Harris just airballed a brutal one, too, long on a corner 3. He is in his own head to a way that I feel very bad for him. But you know what? There's really no alternative here, is you have to find a way to play yourself out of it. It's been some brutal basketball for Tobias Harris. There's no way around that. And a pretty impressive block by Mo Bamba, by the way. I can't figure out what to make of Mo Bamba, man. It's in theory, he has everything you want in a backup center. It's real deal size, real deal 7 feet frame. As Tobias slams home on the break, love that. Maybe that'll get him going a little bit. Good pass from Maxey there. But with Bamba, there's just so much that leaves me wanting more. And I think from a teammate standpoint, I love what he brings to this team. That he's always enthusiastic on the bench. There was the play against the Cavs where the B-ball Paul had the game-winning block, and Mo was the first one out to celebrate with him, which I think is very telling. That means something that specifically when you're in kind of a position battle with your teammate, for you to be that supportive is very cool. So that did mean a lot to me. But from a basketball standpoint, again, it just leaves me wanting more. That it feels like he's so theoretical. He struggles to block shots in a way that blows my mind for a guy with an 8-foot wingspan and as tall as he is. But you know what? Let's see how he looks tonight. It's been a good start for him. And the Hornets are doing some interesting doubling. It almost looks like they're playing a zone in the defensive end, but I think they're just doubling pretty heavy. Yeah, they're still in a man-to-man, but they're definitely bringing doubles, looking like forever. They doubled Tobias Harris, which I don't know why you would be doing that at this point in time, as Harris misses a three-pointer on cue. Brian chime in. Are you a 4-for-4 Philly fan? I am a 4-for-4 Philly fan. That I'm born and raised South Jersey, but I've been a Philly sports fan my whole life. Definitely my rankings as far as how close I follow or care about. Sixers by far number 1, Eagles number 2, Phillies number 3, and then hockey down at the 4 slot for me. That not a huge hockey guy, but I did go to a Flyers game this year, and I've been more into this Flyers team than most years. As Maxey misses a step back 3 here. Why is RB in Miami? He's doing a little bit of business work down there. So he's got a couple meetings that he has to take, a couple other things going on. So I'm sure he'll fill you guys in, but had something to do with the Hog Sports Media type of thing. And we'll see what he ultimately comes back to. What part of South Jersey are you from? From technically Southampton. Went to Seneca High School. But yeah, right around like the Medford area, if you're got a little more zoomed out picture. And I like that he's tampering for Jimmy. I did see that picture from RB. He did go to is at the Heat Arena, so pretty cool there. Tobias Harris bangs 3 as the Sixers climb out to a 10-6 lead. It feels once again like the Sixers are making a very conscious effort to get Tobias Harris involved. And I went to Lenape. Hell yeah. Look at the Lenape people in the house. Love to hear that. Little LRHSD connection. And by the way, Mike Curcio is a gym teacher, is my uncle over there, if you know him. But very cool, the LRHSD connection. And the Hornets responding. Seth Curry still doing his thing. I can't believe Seth Curry. I feel bad that it blows my mind that he has not carved out a significant role. That from a skill set standpoint, he was really good in a Sixers uniform. The 2-man game with him and Joel Embiid was really elite offense. That was some of their best sources. Now, Seth obviously has his deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball. It's very clear, but it has surprised me just the way he has not really stuck onto a role. He had a chance in Brooklyn after he was initially traded in that deal that brought in James Harden, or sent out Ben Simmons, brought in James Harden. Seth kind of had a chance in Brooklyn to carve something out, but it really has not been the case. And he didn't get a real role down in Dallas, and then really has not had a chance here in Charlotte. Obviously, by default, he's playing tonight, but this isn't something I think from a long-term perspective is super appealing to Seth Curry. Got a couple out. Prince Monito chimed in and said, man, I thought they'd buy out Seth and we'd pick him up with Kyle. That would have been an awesome buyout addition and something that I would have absolutely loved for the Sixers to jump on. Unfortunately, not the case. That I think the buyout market underwhelmed a little bit from what we expected. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, I'll take. That's a very positive addition, and I've been pretty satisfied with what he's brought to the floor so far. Sean, do you think Morey missed out on not getting Muscala? I like Mike Muscala, but I will say I was much more about it from a vibe standpoint and just how cool it would be to see Tyrese Maxey kick out a 3 to Mike Muscala than I felt as him being an actual impact player. Muscala, he is what he is. I don't think he's that much better than either. Definitely not. I would say he's probably not even as good as Mo Bamba. We'll see what he ultimately brings. I think the Thunder are a good landing spot for him. Would have been nice to have him, but I don't think it's something that really moves the needle either way. Do I think Joel will be near himself when he comes back? I do. I'm much more optimistic about this than I think most people are. Now, we are supposed to get an update next week, which will have clearer idea of the timeline that he's looking at returning, what his level of play, the ramp up period, all those details. So I'm excited to get what that says specifically. But I do think that with Joel, he's a guy that's used to playing injured more so than just about anybody in the sport of basketball. That with even like this specific injury, the meniscus tear that he's dealing with, like he just mentioned how this was something that he was battling with for dating back 2 months beforehand. And the fact that he was still scoring 70 points in a game or putting together these historic performance, it's really impressive stuff. So that to me says a lot about his ability to play through things. And I do think, and shout out Zach G, would have gone to Seneca, Medford Tech. Respect that as well. I like it. A lot of South Jersey in the house tonight. So very cool. Appreciate all the comments, guys. Keep this coming. Xavier checking back in says, watch, we have all this cap space this summer and we still find a way to mess it up. And please don't get Paul George. I'll say my biggest fear is very much a re-signing of the man on my TV, Tobias Harris, right now. That I've now reached my tipping point with Tobias. That is not even like, I don't want him back on a better contract. I want no part of Tobias Harris on the Sixers team. And frankly, I'm at the point where I think it's regardless of role, that he could be a seventh man on a team. I just think he's not built to be a winner. He's not built to help a championship basketball team. I do think that Tobias Harris is destined to be an empty stats guy on playing for the Detroit Pistons, the Sacramento Kings, or the Orlando Magic, or something like that. He's not a guy that I think can contribute to winning at the level that the Sixers need him to, or really any NBA contender at that point. Kyle Lowry checking into the game now. Nice little pin down off Mo Bamba. Ooh, and Buddy Hield with a airball three-pointer. Tobias with an offensive board, but he did step out, of course. And appreciate Glitch with the links here. Shout out to you. Those are my YouTube links as well. Make sure to check that out. I did drop some more concrete thoughts on Joel Embiid's comments yesterday on Sixers Digest. Also did a full episode on Pick Swap yesterday, talking about things with my co-host James Brand, so you can check each of those out there. How does Mo have 1 steal and 2 blocks? He's been active so far. And that's kind of my point with Mo is when he's engaged, you see it. Like, this is a guy who, don't forget, like, there's a point in time where this guy was hyped up as going to be a high-level impact player at the NBA level. He's definitely underwhelmed throughout his career. Oh, and Zach G right in Vincenttown. Wow, okay. I used to work at Massimo's Pizza for many years, so that's dope. Yeah, I went to Southampton, all that. This game is going to be cardiac for no reason. It does feel like one that's going to be closer than it should be. 4-minute field goal drought by the Hornets, and Sixers are only up 4. Yeah, and as much as I am speaking towards my optimism about these Sixers getting a blowout, that's another 3 from Tobias Harris. Knocks down that one. That is the 4th three-point attempt by Tobias Harris already. I do love to see that. That even if he's not hitting at a high rate, that shot the Sixers offense just needs for him to take. That this season he's averaging just 3.4 3-point attempts per game. That's the lowest since his 2015-16 season and the lowest that he has in a Sixers uniform. That's unacceptable. We're starting to see those numbers go up a little bit, and it's certainly going to help with the 4 attempts early on in this one. I hope it continues. That's a good sign that he's letting those ones fly. I don't know if I'd quite throw him in the sniper range yet, but I do appreciate it as Buddy Hield kicks to Tyrese Maxey in the corner, who knocks down a 3 of his own, and the scoring looks like it's starting to uptick a little bit for the Sixers here. Maxey gets called for a foul down the other end, fighting through a screen. I will say, I do want to point this out. Tyrese Maxey's growth as a defender has been massive. Since his career has started, but particularly of late, I do think something's clicked on his understanding of where to be, the way that he rotates, all these things. It is just clicking for him. And as Glitch is saying, make sure you guys are liking the screen. Let's run up these numbers. Got to report back to RB, who's down in Miami, chilling down there. So make sure we're hitting the like, running up these numbers, dropping a subscribe, and shout out to all the members in the chat already. Hornets get the ball inbounded again. Ooh, and B-Ball Paul is checked into the game and fouls on his first possession, as he tends to do. Not a bad take there. That looks like, I don't even know some of these Hornets players, and that's saying something there. B-Ball Paul looking frustrated with himself. Going to start getting in the mud with some NBA draft stuff. Haven't really got down to anyone with these Sixers that right now I'll say from the college guys that I like quite a bit. The Kentucky dudes, both Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd, I think are both going to be excellent NBA players. Those are guys that I think will go off the board far before the Sixers select. I believe there's only 2 second-round picks that the Sixers are working with, but could be a little bit wrong with that. But I will be getting into the mud and making sure doing my draft homework very soon. Should you go look for RB? I've been to a Sixers game twice when RB was there, but never seen him. Do you go to games often? Yeah, I've actually gone to 2 with RB this year. We went to the 70-point game by Joel against the Spurs, which was probably the coolest uh, just sporting experience I've seen in person. Is I guess the way I would put it. That was an awesome moment, and just a very cool night overall to be there for Joel's career high, the 70 points, all the records he set. But yeah, I personally don't go to a ton of games last year that I was able to do a lot of the media side of things. So was able to go to a lot more, do all the press conference stuff. This year have not had quite the same availability. So I've mainly been taking it in from home this year and being able to do stuff like this as a result. B-ball Paul with a little 3-point play in his first offensive possession. So redeeming himself from the foul on the other end. Paul Reed is a foul machine. I unfortunately do agree with this. I will say he's made some progress, that he has gotten better in that area, but that's always going to be a weakness of his game. And I think it's overstated to an extent that when you have Joel Embiid, when Paul Reed is your backup center, that it's not a big deal if he uses his 5 fouls in the span of 12 minutes when that's the most that he's going to get. Like if you think ahead to the playoffs, when we're thinking of how these Sixers rotation will be, you want Joel out there for, depending on the minutes limit, if there's anything with that, with the knee that's going on. But realistically, he's going to be playing 35 to 40 minutes per game. So all that Paul Reed has to do is fill up those others. And when that's the case, I don't care if you're fouling out. If you want to use your 6 fouls over the span of 12 minutes because that's all you're getting, be my guest. But it is noticeable when it is overextended and he is playing starters minutes, as has been the case in Joel's absence. And I do think that's where the disappointing side of Paul Reed has been, that he hasn't quite taken those next strides, that what he is still a pretty solid backup center. What he's not is a guy that can hang as a starter across the NBA, as a deep 3 by the Hornets. Davis Bertans somehow still in the league, sticking around, bangs home a deep 3. Buddy Hield just hit one on the other end as well. Campaign down the floor. Tyrese Maxey spinning in a little out of control and cannot get it done. Check back in on a couple comments. Got this upcoming season will be the real test for Morey, with him being able to make the roster his own. So hope he doesn't mess it up. Awesome comment from you, Brian. That's something that I've talked about a lot, is when Daryl Morey got here, this was an opportunity where he essentially had to undo a lot of past mistakes. Talking about things like the Al Horford contract, obviously the Ben Simmons situation. There was a lot that he had to work out of in order to have an opportunity to build this roster up. And he's definitely made moves to improve this team. I even will give him credit for the James Harden trade in both directions, both getting Harden and then sending him out in ways that I think you can point to success on other sides. But the reality is there was a lot of issues with this roster that he inherited. This summer, when you look at the Sixers team, it's Joel Embiid. It's the blank contract, whatever they're going to sign Tyrese Maxey to, and he's going to deserve every penny there. There's Paul Reed, and then there's no one else under contract. Now, I personally would get this process going early by giving Ricky Council IV a full-time NBA deal on a multi-year standpoint. But beyond that, it is a blank slate. It's up to Daryl Morey to choose who he sees fits to fill out the remainder of this roster, and we will have an opportunity to see him design the roster as he sees fit. So very excited to see how that works, and totally agree that this is the true test. Appreciate you, Zach. Said just subscribe to PickSwap. I'm going to start checking out your content over there. I appreciate that, Zach. It's a huge compliment, and thanks for hanging tonight. Okay. Secret Underdog the Gamer checking in. What is going on? RB is here in Miami. Cool. Daryl Morey is the same one who signed Daniel House. Yeah, and Daniel House still floating out there looking for another team to land on through the buyout market himself. I believe tonight is the final date that players can sign and be eligible for playoffs. I'm pretty sure that is the case. So yeah, Daniel House may be sitting home this postseason, unfortunately. I like Daniel House. There was like a randomness and the spastic nature to his name to his game that I think was kind of fun, but he's definitely not a guy that I would say can translate to winning in a very high level. I like that he tried some wild stuff, tried it all out, but very cool how this all worked out. And Secret Underdog, I hate to see that. So sending prayers your way. Hate to see all that comment there. That's tough. That's brutal. Hate to hear all that. No worries whatsoever. Zach saying, you guys get a lot of people on PickSwap. How often does Double Switch make videos? I'm reading their bio. Zach, appreciate you checking all this out. And yeah, they do it about probably every other week, usually a little less. During the season, it's about every week that they should be getting back into the swing of it now. Yeah, they do some awesome work for their Phillies coverage over there. So some good stuff. Appreciate you checking that out. Xavier saying, so if we still have an open roster spot and today's the last day, why don't we sign somebody? That's an excellent question. I do know that Darius Baisley's 10-day contract expired today. They have yet to fill this. Ricky Council, I believe, is officially active or will be eligible for the playoffs because he's on a two-way contract, so he's already under team control. But I would really throw him a full NBA deal. It's you don't want to give another team any chance of getting him. That he's too good to be on a two-way. He should be on a true NBA deal already. So I would make sure that happened tonight. And Davis Bertans looks like he's feeling himself a little bit. He just missed a three, but he was in a rush to get that thing off. That does scare me because he is a guy that Davis Bertans we forget about. There was a point in time where he was regarded as one of the best shooters in the NBA. That from a volume and efficiency standpoint, he was doing some really impressive things. He ultimately caught a fat paycheck because of it and really has failed to live up to that. But that is not a guy that I want to see get going from the Hornets side of things today. What up to Big Rud checking in? Appreciate all you guys hanging. Once again, make sure that you are smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like. Let's run up these numbers. Let's see where we're at. Let's see what we got as far as the likes. I want to make sure I can report back a good number to RB there. Got 119 watching right now, up to 88 likes. Let's get that up to triple digits. Let's go. Josh Knapp sounds familiar. He's also a Southampton and Seneca kid for you, Zach. Yep, he lives in South Jersey. Bertans, when did he join the Hornets? That's a great question, Prince. I believe that he was in one of the trades. He was on the Mavericks to start this year. I forget which trade he was a part of. And by the way, the Hornets are fully responsible for Kyle Lowry being on these Sixers as well, as they ultimately, in that Terry Rozier down to Miami trade, agreed to buy out Kyle Lowry, and that's what paved the way for him to be in Philly. So shout out to this Hornets program for allowing that to be the case. Got Don Boyle checking in saying Sixers look terrible and the offense has no movement. They're all just standing around the perimeter. Yeah, it hasn't exactly been the prettiest start to this game. Hornets taking it down. Sixers holding a 22-18 lead. Pretty low scoring affair so far. Ugly pull-up jumper. Davis Bertans again, another three, and he nets that one. Yeah, I don't like the way that he's got a little bit of a look in his eye this evening. He's trying to get those shots up in a hurry. For Bertans, that this is a guy that wow, yeah, he's in a hurry to get one up. Campaign answers down the other end. I hate how Campaign shoots the ball like a toddler, but he has been pretty solid. He's been better than I expected. Yeah, Dom saying they're shooting a ton of threes. Glitch checking in saying, other than the Celtics, who do you think would come out of the East? Do you think the Knicks could be an actual threat? I am. I'm a Knicks believer. I would put the Knicks as the number 2 team in the East from my perspective. The reason I say that is I think they have such a high floor as a team. As Bertans hits a fadeaway runner, he's going to be a problem tonight. That is not good news for the Sixers team. That was a tough shot that he just hit. But for this Knicks team, I do believe that Jalen Brunson is the real deal. I believe he's a guy that is capable of elevating a team to a true championship contender. What up to C Block? What's going on? And with Brunson, when you look beyond that Julius Randle has his issues. I think really the question with that Knicks team is if they have the top end talent to compete with some of these true contenders, but they're just tough. They're hard nosed. They're not going to roll over to anybody. Tom Thibodeau is a guy who has these defensive tactics ingrained in each of these guys. So we know that there's the Villanova connection with Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. Josh Hart specifically is a guy that I think is a huge just winning player, the way he gets big rebounds, all those things. I'm out on the Milwaukee Bucks that we know the Doc Rivers experience. I do believe Dame Lillard is past the point where he's the player he once was, and I think we've seen that for a lot of this year. And I still think there's some fundamental defensive issues on this team that while they've been better, they still haven't been fully corrected. So I'm not a believer in this Bucks team. And once again, we've all seen the flaws of Doc Rivers front and center. I expect that to translate up to Milwaukee as well. Looking beyond that, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I also think are frauds. That I don't think they're a team as Maxey with a tough finisher in around the basket, tough up and under there. Bertans looking to get after it on the other end once again. With the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, the real deal. Evan Mobley does his thing. Jared Allen on the defensive end. But that team there's nights where it looks like they straight up don't have it. And I expect that to happen too often over the course of a 7-game series. Zach saying the Knicks my pick to win the chip. I think there's a chance. What about the Heat from Dom? I think the Heat are a legit contender as well. That I think they're doing the same peekaboo game where they moonwalk and don't go too hard through the start of the season. And then all of a sudden, come playoff time, come this part of the season, they flip it on. And that's exactly what's happening. Jaime Jaquez, the real deal. Bam Adebayo playing better. As Tobias Harris hits another three to close out the quarter, 32-27. The Sixers will take this to the end of the third quarter, or the end of the first quarter. Tobias up to 13 points on 3 of 5 shooting from behind the arc. A great start to this game by Tobias Harris. That's huge. He needs that as much as the team needs that. Very funny stuff there. Yeah. Okay, Toby. Check in on a couple other comments. Yeah, they lost a few key players from last year, but picked up some solid players. I do think Terry Rozier is going to be a factor. He was obviously on this Charlotte team for a couple years beforehand. And Xavier checking in saying, all jokes aside, if we get Joel back, I think we can compete with Boston. I ain't worried about the Bucks or the Knicks. That's the thing is, let's say I put my full optimistic lenses on here that Joel Embiid, when he initially got hurt, there was 10 weeks left in the season. It's talking about 6 to 8 week recovery time. Say it's 8 weeks. We'll even look a little bit not quite ideal. That's 2 weeks of a ramp up period, and then we have a playoff run. We have yet to see Joel Embiid healthy over the course of an entire playoff run. If that is the case this year, there's full reason to be optimistic why the Sixers can get past that second round hurdle. That, yep, if we get a healthy Joel, they can compete with anybody. And that's what's also crystal clear about this team is everyone on this roster is designed to play next to Joel. And I don't want to critique that. I've seen a lot of people holding that against Morey. That's kind of the point of building a roster is you get your superstar and then you find guys to maximize him. And we know how Joel Embiid is, that he's high usage. He wants the ball in his hands a lot, and he needs guys that can do certain things around him. Nico Batum is going to be my clearest example, and I appreciate you, Jordan. Nico Batum is a guy that his skill set is perfect to have next to Joel Embiid. He makes quick decisions. He's an excellent entry pass maker. He's got that rapid fire release. The no dip 3-pointer is awesome. So he's a smart player. He's a good defender. He makes good passes, and he's a catch and shooter. But when you take away Joel Embiid, you see how limited he looks as a player. And there's other guys that fits as well. I'm itching to see what the Buddy Hield experience next to Joel Embiid looks like, because I do think that's going to be perfect. But he's been pretty solid as well. And as far as like another example, Kelly Oubre is a guy that was awesome through the start of this season, that his skill set and his role was perfect for what this team needed him to be. Without Joel Embiid, we're seeing him be a little overused or overexposed for what his skill set is. So that's kind of the debate there, that everything makes much more sense when Joel Embiid is on the floor, and that's top to bottom on this roster. Got Jason checking in saying Toby is certainly good enough to be a starter until we get Paul Reed or Mo Bamba to play power forward with Embiid as the center. I would love some more of that creativity. Let's play with the lineups. I do think I see no world where the Sixers actually bench Tobias Harris, especially if it's not going to be during this stretch. I don't know when it will. And the other part of that conversation is obviously you have to replace him with somebody. So who is it that you dig down, pull up from the bench that actually gives the Sixers a better chance than Tobias? The unfortunate reality right now is it's no one, that you just kind of let him fight through it. And maybe tonight is the night that he breaks out of it. Maybe right here on RB stream that we get to see Tobias Harris continue this heater, already up to 13 points. Yep. And just as Ampu Minds is saying, there has been a Tobias sighting, 13 in the first. He had 13 all last game. Hopefully you can keep it up. Absolutely. And it's because the Hornets are nobody. That is going to be that. I'm not denying that one. But Dom saying I want to see Buddy pick it up like his first 4 games. Yeah, he definitely has cooled down a little bit. I swear Tobias just takes advantage of bad teams. Hey, they need it tonight. So you know what? I'm not going to critique that too heavily. Definitely not a guy who I would say plays his best basketball in the biggest moments. As Ricky Council's in the game with a decisive 3-point attempt, does not knock it down, but I just love seeing him on the floor. He's going to make some madness happen. I can guarantee that. The Hornets drive down, attack the other end, and a lay-in. We have a 32-31 lead for the Sixers. The Hornets are not going away, but they do have some guys that are competing, are playing. Sixers rolling with the lineup of Kyle Lowry, Tobias Harris, Ricky Council IV, Nico Batum, and Cam Payne. So this small lineup here, essentially Tobias, I guess, or Nico Batum is maybe technically the center. Ricky Council IV does a lot of the big man duties when we talk about rebounding and the way that he competes for it. So I like that about Ricky. I think he's a good player to have in this particular rotation, but he did just turn the ball over there. How much you think Maxey would get in assists? Maxi's playmaking has been pretty good. He's had to be in attack mode, specifically during the shorthanded stretch. During the start of the season, he was averaging around 7 assists per game, which is something that I wasn't even sure he could reach to that level. And Grant Williams very clearly looking to punish this small lineup. He just took campaign, dropped him on the block, dropped his shoulder into him, and got right to his sweet spot there. So that's going to be a concern. Sixers are going to have to switch that matchup there. Grant Williams probably not the guy you want campaign on, and Ricky Council is hacked going to the basket. He does an excellent job getting to the free throw line. But I looked this up the other day. Per 36 minutes, there's only 2 players in the NBA that get to the free throw line more than Ricky Council the fourth. That is Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is the level that he is producing as far as the way that he creates contact and finishes around the rim. Now, I'm not going to say that I think this is here to last, that I do think those numbers may be diluted a little bit when we get a larger sample size of Ricky Council's play. But this is something that dated back to his track record in college, that he was this guy at Arkansas and at Wichita State before that. And Glitch chiming in, yep, RB down in Miami. Also saying Tobias versus the bad teams, he's confident, but the moment lights get bright, GG's. Yeah, there's unfortunately some truth to that. And Jason, appreciate that. Thank you for hanging with me here. Yes, sir. I can't do it as well as RB, but I did bring out. Wait, let me hear it. Let me have you guys hear this. Let me sure that went through on your end. See if the buzzer worked for you. Give me a little acknowledgement in the comments if that was a yes or if that was loud enough. Did you guys hear the buzzer on your end? I think I figured out how to do it. I was working on that beforehand. The Hornets take a lead. Yes, sir. Love that, Jason. Hell yeah. So up to a 35-33 lead, but Nico Batum is able to answer, knocking down a three-pointer. I do love his release, man. I love how quick he gets the ball out of his hands, and he shoots it with confidence. As much as he just gets burnt on a backdoor cut there, I do like Batum's game, and that was some ugly defense. That was not his finest moment, just as I was trying to hype him up there. Kyle Lowry running the show down the other end, getting a pick from Mo Bamba. Dribbling, snaking to his spot, gets the switch, kicks it to Buddy. Buddy trying to create for himself. Kicks it to Kyle. Got the shot clock running down with 5. Ricky slams it. Okay, Ricky Council the fourth. And that is what he brings to this team. There is no other player on the Sixers roster that can rise up and slam it in that way. That's a raise the roof kind of dunk by Ricky Council the fourth. I love that, man. That he's become one of my guys. I'm all in on what Ricky Council the fourth brings to the Sixers team just because of things like that. That and as Mo Bamba out rebounding on the other end, Buddy Hield with the ball in transition. Up off the glass, tough shot, can't quite hit. Hornets looking to answer in transition. Sixers ultimately do slow him down. Hornets attacking again, getting to the paint, and Nick Richards is going to get an easy slam there. I'm tweeting out. I'm just going to say I think Ricky Council may be the best dunker to ever wear. No, that's a little too much. Not to ever wear. That's a special dunk. He cranked that all the way back. Another where's RB? RB is down in Miami, so he's actually chilling at the Heat game, checking things out down there. Council 4 has been my favorite player this year. He's been playing. He's a dog, man. He absolutely is a dog. So refreshing to watch. That was a really impressive dunk. And Nick chiming in. What is good, Nick? Yo, Zach, what's up in a minute? Yes, sir. And Ricky, once again, just the way that he attacks the ball is so refreshing. Absolutely. I can't believe he just went up and skied that. I feel like this is going to be something we see on a night-to-night basis for Ricky Council, which is very cool. And what was the starting 5? Sixers roll with Tobias Harris, Mo Bamba, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, and Buddy Hield. So a little bit unique seeing Mo Bamba get the call up. Appreciate you, Glitch. My only little tweak, BARNARD1, but appreciate you throwing the love here. Sixers in commercial break. Sending out my little Ricky Council the 4th tweet here. I can't believe he just got up and slammed that. I really do think this is going to be a night-to-night basis, that I think we're going to see that every single night by Ricky Council the 4th. And by the way, as much as 2 points are 2 points, Nick always wandering with the camera. I believe that. As much as 2 points are 2 points, I do think that when you get like a high-level dunk like that, It matters. That sets the tone. That changes things. That strikes some fear into opponents' hearts. I love that Ricky Council has the ability to bring that and a willingness that this is something he wants to attack the basket. He wants to get fouled. He wants to dunk it home. It's awesome to see. And that's something that the Sixers just straight up have not got enough of. Kane chiming in saying that Ricky needs all Batum's minutes. And to RJ seven Deuce right here, Kelly Oubre is out tonight. So I do think that this is something that he will be filling some of those minutes, which is great to see. Jason saying definitely a different lineup, but Mo was actually playing all right recently. He makes mistakes, but he makes some decent plays too. Yep, totally agree there. Glitch, appreciate you throwing this out here once again. Yeah, I mean Mo's not perfect, but at his peak, this is, I guess, the way I put it, and I know Nick will hate this one. I think when Mo Bamba plays his best, he's the better option as a big man, but he just doesn't play his best all that often. That I do think that there's something about Paul Reed, the effort level that he brings, the floor of Paul Reed is much higher than the floor of Mo Bamba. That Mo Bamba playing bad basketball is far worse than Paul Reed playing bad basketball, as they throw an alley-oop to Ricky Council fourth. That gets interrupted, does not quite make his way. Hornets looking to answer in transition. Davis Bertans again, and he knocks down another one. He's going to be a problem, I'm telling you. Davis Bertans shooting the lights out. Let's take a look at these stats for the Hornets here. How many is Bertans up to? 11 points off the bench. Their leading scorer is Davis Bertans right there. Yeah, that's scary stuff. I'm telling you. And Mo Bamba might have gotten banged up a little bit on that play. Let's head back to the Sixers on this end of the scoring here. And the Hornets hit another three. And now the Sixers are trailing 45-38. This is a little worrisome for the Sixers team. We got 7:50 left to play in the second quarter. Would love a little bit of an answer here. Let's get it going before halftime here. They should not want to go into halftime at a deficit. As Kyle Lowry attacking off the dribble, he's got Cody Martin on him, kicking back to Ricky Council the fourth. Ricky Council, a little pull up J, and can't get the shooter's bounce there. If the Hornets beat us, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, if only Paul Reed had Mo's height. If Paul Reed had Mo's height with that work rate, he might be the best player in the world, man. Like I do love how hard Paul Reed tries, and I hate that I'm critiquing so many of these guys for lack of effort. That just straight up should never be the case when it's your job to play basketball. But Mo is a guy that I think sometimes falls in that category, and for that type of thing, I never think it's like when I say that, I never think like obviously Mo's trying to play bad or anything like that. But there is like an engagement in the game that it's like you have to be fired up. You have to be locked into every moment. And you see the guys that are and you see the guys that aren't. And I do think Mo is a guy that sometimes falls victim to that. Shout out to Cool JX saying, yo, what's good, fam? What's good, Sean? Great to see you hold down the fort. Yep, got to do it for RB. So shout out to RB for doing things down in Miami, giving me the chance. Zach saying, yeah, I just got a Ricky Council jersey. It's going to wear something someday. I love that. I need to get my hands on a Ricky Council the fourth. And I know this has become pretty common knowledge at this point, but so sick that Ricky Council the fourth is not a fourth generation Ricky Council. That his dad is the original Ricky Council. He's got a brother, Ricky Council the second, and another brother, Ricky Council the third. He's Ricky Council the fourth, the youngest. So very funny there. I would love to hear from his parents about that. So extremely funny. This is wild, man. Small world. Yeah. Never thought. Boom. And the Hornets now up to a 10-point lead with 6:44 left to go. This is not great for this Sixers team. Cody Martin at the line hits the first one up to 11. And I love, Reed didn't take enough growth pills. And it's funny, we always say this, and I've had these interactions with a couple guys now. It does blow my mind that even the smallest player on the floor is massive. Like I can speak from last year when I was doing some of the interviews. Georges Niang was a guy that like never stood out from a physical standpoint, that I think most people even looked at him and was like he's the most normal guy out of there. And then you stand next to him and he's 6'7", and you're like, okay, yep, that's why he's an NBA player, and he can absolutely just shoot the lights out. Mo Bamba is slow and has no ups. I get the frustrations. I totally do. Can't play defense at all. Yeah, Nick is still on the Paul Reed train. There is no doubt about that. Sixers cut the deficit to 9. Tobias taking it in transition now. Handoff to Kyle Lowry, who fake shoots a three, then kicks it to Bamba, who's trapped under the basket, kicks it back to Lowry, who shoots the three this time and is able to knock it down. Nice shot by Kyle Lowry. I've been pretty happy with the minutes we've gotten from Kyle Lowry so far. That my concern, and I was a guy that was pretty vocal against Pat Bev, or against the trading away Pat Bev when the situation did happen. Now that things are set in stone, and it was clear the Sixers were operating under the assumption that Kyle Lowry was coming. Ultimately, that was proven to be true, so it did work out. I was frustrated from the standpoint of you doing all this, that I do think it would have been a downgrade to go from Pat Bev to Cam Payne. The fact that Kyle Lowry is a piece of the puzzle and a part of the picture, and the guy that's really that replacement, you can swallow it a little more. You can feel a little better about that. So I'm a little more satisfied now that I've digested it. The rosters have settled. I still do wish Pat Bev could have been a part of the Sixers playoff run. I do think he's going to be a useful guy. And my argument from the Cameron Payne side of things specifically is there's no debate that in, I guess, this specific situation with the Sixers where they're shorthanded, they need offense, you can make the case that Cam Payne's a better player. My argument's always for the 8 to 12 minutes a game in which you're going to need backup minutes from a guard. Pat Bev's way better than Cam Payne at that. Now, Kyle Lowry is a guy who's contributed to a team that went to the Eastern Conference, or went to the NBA Finals last year with the Miami Heat. We know that he can do it. He's got a ring on his finger. He's won a championship before, and he is Nick Nurse's guy. That I do think that's worth noting in the storyline. There's always a tight relationship between a coach and the point guard. Kyle Lowry is a guy who knows the way Nick Nurse wants things done. Seems like he has the right mentality from every question he's answered, as far as speaking about making sure Tyrese Maxey continues to progress. That's his goal, all these things. So I've warmed up to the Kyle Lowry experience. Zach saying, "You're crazy, bro. Hope all is well." Shout out to Zach for hanging. Jason saying, "Miss Pat, but seriously, I hope he signs back in the summer, but there's probably bad blood." Yeah, I'm curious about that. I do think that there's no bad blood between Pat and anyone on the team. I do think there might be between Daryl Morey and Pat Bev. That there was a little bit of the liar accusations from Pat Bev, him saying that he was told he wouldn't be traded. There's been a lot of that coming around as far as players not loving the way that Daryl Morey handles them or treats them, which is, that does stick with you from a reputation standpoint, and is something that I do think should be noted. Glitch, absolutely right. Let's like the stream. Let's get those numbers up. Let's see. Are we over triple digits yet? We got to make sure we're getting at least over 100 likes. I want to see if we can get to 200 by the end of it. Let's see if we can make this happen. But let me double check the count here. I cannot see it on the StreamYard. And checking in, we got 143 tuned in watching, up to 115 likes. There we go, people. Let's get this over 200. I want to be able to report positive back to RB, tell him how we smashed this, had a great time hanging together. So let's keep running those numbers up. Marcus Morris and Furk still available on the buyout marking. Only a little asterisk I'll throw next to there. Unfortunately, these Sixers are ineligible to sign either of them because they did trade them away. There is the case. I thought Marcus Morris was going to be an option, and frankly, I would take him back. That I was okay with Marcus Morris being on this team. He had some moments in which he looked good, not the cure-all answer. But ultimately, even though he was traded twice, essentially, it ended up being lumped into one deal by the NBA books, which means that the Sixers are not eligible to re-sign him. Disappointing. And I believe he did just sign somewhere. I saw the pop-up for it yesterday. Marcus Morris, was it with the no, he didn't. You're right. He was bought out officially yesterday. Yep, and Glitch is right. We got to get at least 200 minimum, no doubt about it. With the first pick of the 2024 draft, Philadelphia 76ers select. And honestly, I want to speak a little bit about something frustrating to me right now. All the top picks this year are going to be guys that we just don't get to watch much. It's a bunch of overseas guys. Ron Holland, the G League. There's another G League guy that's shining. But it's none of these college guys. That there's not going to be like, the days of watching Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, and Joel Embiid being the top prospects. That's really not the case anymore. That is, even last year, we did have Brandon Miller in the conversation, but it was Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson, who was overseas, obviously with Wemby, and then Scoot playing in the G League himself. I do miss it a little bit. That I wish, you could get a better look at these guys at the collegiate level in the same way as Maxey with a tough finish and one off the glass here. And Sixers have narrowed the gap now, looking at 52-48 with 4:47 left in the second quarter here. Maxey looking to complete the three-point play. He just beat Cody Martin off the dribble. I think, there's so much to talk about, and it was a goaltend is why the bucket counted. It absolutely was, too. Is YouTube RB and DJ's full-time job? I know for RB that he operates fully in this world. DJ, I'm not 100% sure of. Myself, loosely, yes, but I do a lot of writing, do a lot of radio work as well. So I wouldn't say YouTube specifically. More so the radio side of things is my full time. That being on Fox Sports The Gambler. Do a lot of the producing over there. Run the Picks and Roll podcast with Sean Brace, which is the Sixers. My title is the Sixers and NBA Insider, and also do a bunch of their producing. So that's for me personally. Get paid a little better through that than the YouTube specifically, but definitely something that I'm still trying to grow. As B-ball Paul finishes on a nice layoff from Kyle Lowry. Lowry doing a nice job collapsing the defense and kicking out. That he's had a couple real nice passes where he's creating for others. And Paul Reed, good defense down the other end. An impressive job not to foul. Good job by Paul Reed. Yep. And Nick, your boy, as Zach said, B-ball Paul with the bucket here. And Kyle Lowry gets fouled after immediately coming down with the rebound. That was one of those annoying Kyle Lowry moments where it's going to be fine now he's in a Sixers uniform, but in years past, absolutely frustrated me. That very clear. There was no need for him to be fouled there. That like he very easily could have just kept going and play, but took a little contact and immediately falls to the floor. DJ actually is a DJ, people. That is, you're right about that. My fault. I forgot that. He does do DJ events as well. So yeah, he's everywhere. Shout out DJ Eastwood as well. Shout out Run It Back Philly. Campaign putting the ball on the floor, kicks to B-ball, little pump fake, spin, and a great pass from Paul Reed. Look at that. To Tobias Harris. A nice cut. I like there's some real good baseline cuts that have gone on in this game. I don't know if that's something that they're seeing in the scheme with the way this Hornets team matches up, or if this is something that they just have a focus on or executing well tonight. But a lot of nice baseline cuts that are creating some really good offense. Hornets looking to answer. Step back three from Miles Bridges, and it falls. Yep, 57-53. Sean, you like Paul as much as Nick. He'd always be talking Paul up. I don't see it. I like Paul Reed. I don't think as much as Nick. I'll go that far. The frustrating part, and here's kind of the just trajectory of players, is I was all about Paul Reed when he was a guy that wasn't getting an opportunity, that, you know, the corpse of DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard and all these guys. I think he was a little after Dwight Howard, but Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan specifically was the one that really frustrated me. They should never have been playing over Paul Reed. So I was very much campaigning for Paul Reed to get those type of minutes. He ultimately got paid this offseason. I'm happy the Sixers did give him a real deal contract and kept him around. I think what we're seeing with Paul Reed is he's a guy that his strengths and weaknesses are on full display as a player. That, you know, you see it when he's a guy that is fouling too much or can't quite connect in the way. I've been a little disappointed by the lack of growth. I think he's still solid as a backup center. And the biggest point for why I like Paul Reed, and this has kind of been like a conceptual thing, is with the Sixers, as the Sixers slip into a little 3-2 zone action. Interesting. Nick Nurse loves swapping the defenses out. And I think that's actually shout out Brian Gase, who's more or less their defensive coordinator for this team. But anyway, with Paul Reed specifically, that when you have Joel Embiid as your best player, it's very rare for a big man to be your best player, right? It's Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. That when you go to the bench, there's going to be a significant drop off. And now, obviously, that's the case whenever you're best player, regardless of his position. But with the Sixers, it felt like for several years, they were committed to just getting a worse version of Joel Embiid. That guys like Amir Johnson, Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard, they played a similar role as Joel Embiid. They just were far worse as basketball players. And that's not a shot at him. We're talking about the MVP of the league, a guy that has led the league in scoring in the past 3 seasons. So with Paul Reed, he's very different stylistically as a basketball player, that he wants to run and gun more, wants to get out on the fast break. He's switchable, can switch 1 through 5 on the perimeter, as Maxey knocks down another 3. So I liked having that about Paul Reed. And the lead is now cut to 5. So we got a 61-56 lead for the Charlotte Hornets now. Campaign guarding up. Spinning around. Tobias almost gets the steal near half court, but Bridges, Hornets looking for a shot and get to the basket way too easily, but blocked by B-Ball Paul. And there is the boy, B-Ball Paul, making an impact. Tobias driving down the other end, kick out the campaign for 3. Can't hit that one. I hate that, the way he shoots a basketball, man. He is fully just turned the opposite way. Hornets dribbling around. Seth Curry getting into his bag a little bit and gets the space and shoots it over Buddy Hield. That now extends it 63-56 in favor of Seth Curry. Zach G saying, bro, Paul's like a pit bull. You got to keep him on a leash. When you take him off, he does too much. I like that analogy there. Tyrese Maxey to the basket. And B-Ball Paul just tried an ambitious putback slam. Could not hit it, but gets his own board and puts it back the second time. Good effort by B-Ball Paul on the game now. What is Paul up to? He's up to 7 points and I believe 2 rebounds we have listed. It should have been, I think he's got more than that. That might correct again in a second here. He definitely had 2 in that flow of play, unless they don't count that. And Hornets dribbling out. We got 5 seconds in between the shot clock and game clock here. They get a little layoff. Kick back out. Sixers force a turnover. Buddy Hield with the ball. Dribbling across half court. Got 5 on the shot clock. Ball goes to Maxey. 4, 3, 2. Campaign as time expires. Cannot hit. So halftime will be 63-58 in favor of the Hornets there. Campaign looking like he wanted a foul there. Arguing with the refs after the fact. Seth Curry standing right next to him, letting him know. And the Sixers will head into halftime trailing 5. Not the ideal results for what they would want against this Hornets team. This is a matchup in which I do believe they should be getting a blowout. Doug frustrated with the defense. Yeah, allowing 63 to this Hornets team, not a good sign. And for the betting people out here, I know the Hornets team total was sitting at 100.5 heading into this game for the whole game. So over 60% there. That is showing that the Sixers are underperforming on that side of the ball. We are such a lottery team. Without Joel Embiid, they absolutely are. And that's kind of what you're seeing. I was underwhelmed by that first half performance. Let's take a look at these team stats overall. I do like to check these out. So as we see, let me scroll down here. So the Sixers overall, and let me get the field goal percentage in here. Sixers shooting 22 of 48 from the field, 45.8%. The Hornets 22 of 44, so 54.5%. Shooting the ball a little better. From 3, the Sixers are 11 of 25. Really good numbers there. 44% from the field. Hornets are 9 of 18. Also really good numbers there. Hornets have got to the free throw line a little more. Rebounding battle pretty even, 21-20. The offensive rebounds, the Sixers with 6 of them there. See what else we got here. 20 assists for the Sixers. Only 5 turnovers. That's okay. That's acceptable. 12 fast break points for the Hornets. That's not great. Neither team scoring very much in the paint. Yeah, not a ton to take away from these team stats here. An overall pretty even half, which is not great considering this team. Taking a look at the Hornets, that Miles Bridges with 13 points and 8 rebounds in the first half. Nobody else in double figures except for Davis Bertans off the bench, who has 11, has shot 3 of 5 from 3, also has 2 assists. Very good game out of Bertans. This is the most life I've seen in him for years. Looking at the Sixers team, Tobias Harris leading the way with 15 points. Good start to the game for Tobias Harris. 15.7 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 assist. This is the best game that he's played in several weeks. So love to see that from Tobias. Got Tyrese Maxey also with 14 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds of his own. He shot 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. And got a little help. Got 8 points from Buddy Hield as well. Would like to get him going a little bit more. He does have 5 assists. I love that from Buddy. And let's check in on a couple of these comments here. I thought the Sixers were better without Harden this year. They're not better without Harden and Joel, I'll tell you that. Maxey is off again. I wouldn't say off. He's been fine this half. Definitely not ideal, not his best game. Embiid just makes everything possible. Yeah, you're right about that. Everyone is beating the Hornets. Yeah, I mean, on the year, the Hornets with a record of 15-44. They're a bad basketball team. There's no doubt about it. I would like to see the Sixers. They have to come out and step on the throats in the second half this year. And that's why I'm screaming tank, tank, tank. Yeah, we need to get max value for our pick this year. Absolutely. Them better than last year. Talk stopped, I see. I still think, I mean, it's tough. Everything is fully dependent on what version of Joel Embiid comes back. If Joel Embiid comes back and looks himself, you cannot count out the Sixers team from making a deep playoff run. That they are that good. He is that good and can elevate a team that much. So I'm not counting this team out by any means, but it is all dependent on what level of Joel Embiid is able to return. Hornets commentators loving Council of Fourth. I can't imagine the call from that guy. I forget his name. I met him. He's electric on the mic. The Hornets announcer is one of the best. The way he just screams on thing is very funny. RB moving to Miami and his YouTube will be the Heat. Yeah, I don't think he's going that far. I would be very surprised if he's moving to Miami or making a Heat switch up by any means. But he is taking in some business down there, hanging down there in some much nicer weather than we are having up here right now. So shout out to RB, man. Without Embiid, they had a winning record last season. Yeah, and that is where the James Harden factor comes in more so than anything. That I think with James Harden and no Joel Embiid, you have kind of a baseline to run an offense. Right now, they're just getting it on the fly. They're trying to figure it out. That this is a team that we're seeing the growing pains of Tyrese Maxey. Dude, we keep talking about Tyrese Maxey like he's a finished product. The bottom line is this dude is 23 years old and way ahead of the developmental curve than anybody could have guessed at this point in time. Him being an all-star this year, he deserved 100%, but it is pretty shocking to see him get to this level this quickly. Just think about what he's going to be 4 years from now, and he's 27. Now, I get it. Obviously, you have to take it for what it is, critique it for what it is, and frankly, he hasn't been able to raise the floor of guys around him in the way that you would hope from a guy that level of the all-star, but I'm still optimistic for this team as a whole and certainly for Maxey. So, yeah, he hasn't been able to keep the team afloat in the same way, but it's also just been a really tough stretch of basketball that even if it was the same team with James Harden, if you're facing the Bucks, the Celtics, the Cavs, the top of the Eastern Conference, the Knicks, all in consecutive games, that is just tough. Kyle Lowry. So washed another time saying, Maury, you thinking? I mean, he's been better than I expected. That was always my concern with Kyle Lowry is I do think that he's far past his prime. That I do think this is a guy who, even as he did help with that Heat run last year, he was a guy that underwhelmed me every time I watched him. That he wasn't a guy that I felt like this dude is crushing it. This dude is impacting winning at a high level. He was a guy who was taken out of the starting rotation, came off the bench, and he had made the most of his minutes, but it was very clear what the Heat did to kind of match that was rather than him rolling him out in the starting role, him playing 30 minutes a game, then it is get a quick short burst, maximized ability. And that's what they were getting out of Kyle Lowry. Ultimately, it was effective for them, and he was a guy that played a huge role in the Heat still getting all the way. But yeah, it is. Yeah, and I agree with Jason here as well, bro. He's 37. What do you expect? Yeah, it's shout out to Kyle Lowry for even just sticking around at this point. So we'll see what he ultimately got. How he performs in the playoffs will surely play a role in how he is remembered and what his impact here is in Philly. I would think this is the end of the road for Kyle Lowry after this year, although we'll see. It's a little debate about James Harden. We got how do we let Harden go, man? He's hooping in LA right now. He is absolutely hooping with the Clippers right now. Harden ain't washed, just changed his game to be more of a playmaker. He'd still score 30 points a game if he played for Detroit or Washington. It's because he's with other stars. We could have had Halliburton. Jason saying, thank God we got rid of Harden. I mean, the James Harden experience was worth trying here in Philadelphia. That was the right decision. It gave them a better chance to win a championship than Ben Simmons ever would have. So that was the upgrade there. Now, is he perfect? Did it work out completely? Absolutely not. There was clearly a broken relationship between him and Daryl Morey that never would have been repairable, that they had to move on from him in this situation. Whatever was said behind closed doors between Daryl Morey and James Harden ultimately is who's right there, that whatever contractual conversations were happening, there's a chance that Daryl Morey completely overstepped. There's a chance that James Harden's being a prima donna. And whatever those conversations were had behind closed doors really depends on whose side of things that I feel about there. But as far as their return, what I can speak to me being frustrated about is the real win of that trade was the 3 first-round picks they did get. That guys like Nico Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, these are guys that are useful, that, you know, they can play a little bit. Batum's the only guy that's in the lineup today, and Marcus Morris obviously had been traded as well. Yeah, and Morey just said CP3 just said Morey ain't it. Yeah, I saw that quote as well of CP3 saying that he lacked people skills and traded him after he said he wouldn't and all these things. There's unfortunately a lot more of that floating around than I would like to be the case. I want to be a big Daryl Morey guy. Shout out to Daryl. I, for the most part, like the work that he's done. But there are some of those situations that it's tough to defend on the whole conversation. So we will see. And yeah, Tyler saying Harden wanted a max contract. That was not an option for the Sixers. And frankly, it would have been a mistake to give him a max contract. And I'm very curious to see what the Clippers ultimately do at the conclusion of the season. Kane checking in saying if the Sixers could get Dalton Connect in this draft, I would let Buddy Hield go. Dalton Connect is awesome. He's going to be a guy that I think shoots up people's draft boards during March Madness. I would expect he's probably an earlier pick than the Sixers have a chance to get. But I would love to see Dalton Connect in a Sixers uniform. I'm with you on that one. Good to see the coach back with Amy and Mark. Good comment, Zach. Yeah, he has been in and out of there a decent bit. We need better forwards and bigs. And shout out Talon72 filling in for RB tonight while he is down in Miami. So my name is Sean Bernard, chilling with you. You can, by the way, you guys can check out my work on Sixers Digest and Pick Swap Media. And also, by the way, make sure we are running up the likes on this stream here. Shout out to all the members in the chat. Make sure we're subscribing to the channel if you have not yet. Let's keep RB running this Sixers YouTube game. Excited that he let me fill in for him today and excited to be hanging with you guys. And yeah, shout out to Glitch. Cannot wait for March Madness. March 1st. So the madness right around the corner. A lot of the conference tournaments coming up. I'm starting to dip my toes back into the water and figure out which teams I like, which players I like. I always kind of watch a lot of college basketball with the NBA draft perspective in mind and which of these guys I think can take the next leap and who's some underrated guys. That's one of the reasons why I have become a huge Terquavion Smith guy over the past couple of years. I watched him at NC State a ton, and he was so fun to watch there. That there was a joy in his game that reminded me a little bit of Tyrese Maxey. There's one game in particular where he popped off for like 37 points, and he was literally like jogging around, basically playing an air guitar and jumping up and down, that I was like, that's my guy. And then I thought, to be honest, I would have taken Terquavion Smith in the first round, the first season after his freshman year. He ultimately went back to college, did not improve his draft stock, and somehow went undrafted last year. But that is something like Terquavion Smith I've loved for 2-3 years now. So yeah, Turk Smith's number should be retired for NC State. Real talk though, he was phenomenal there. Only spent 2 years. And Ricky Council IV, I think there's quite a few people who feel the same way about him, that this is a situation where he's obviously climbed to the front of the pecking order when talking about those two-way contracts, but getting both those guys, both Terquavion Smith and Ricky Council IV, those are both massive wins for this Sixers team. They get that kind of value in the undrafted market without a draft pick is a huge deal. Check out Blake Pinson from Pitt when you get a chance. It gives me Melo vibes. Wow, okay. I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah, I've heard the name. I have not watched much of him play, so I'm going to have to take a deeper dive. Shout out to you, Glitch. Appreciate that. It's March sadness in Philly this year. Yeah, it does not look like there's going to be a Philadelphia team representing Villanova. It's been tough this year, and I do some of the radio stuff for Villanova basketball, do their production side of things to make sure they get on air and can be played through the radio and the iHeart app there. And yeah, the spirits have not been high around the team this year. I'll say that. It will be interesting to see what happens with Kyle Neptune at the end of this year. But I will say that he's been playing. The team has been playing a little better lately, but I still see no way in which they sneak into the tournament. What's your thoughts on Kenny Lofton? He's a bigger fellow like myself, but he puts up numbers. I love Kenny Lofton. I haven't quite figured out what to make of him at the NBA level. This might sound strange, but he's losing a ton of weight, and I almost wonder if that's like a mistake for him. Like, obviously, you have to, be able to move on the floor, but he's never going to be a guy that's the most athletic guy out there. That I think there was something to his game as far as overpowering guys using his size. I think he's got really nice playmaking instincts, so I'm not out on Kenny Lofton, but I haven't figured out what like a role for him. Like even a guy like Ricky Council and Turk Smith, what they can bring on a small sample size. You kind of got to play around Ricky Council IV, and frankly, the Blue Coats really do a lot of times. So I'm struggled to figure out what lane he can run in at the NBA level, but I do like his game quite a bit, and the talent is absolutely there. A couple other shout out from Pakistan. Shout out to you, Muhammad. Appreciate you for hanging in there. Got a comment from Pat saying, I don't care if Morey lied. He choked again. We saw the potential and he folded. Why would anyone want him back when he's already shown what would happen? That, of course, referring to James Harden there. And yeah, I was not on the team of give James Harden whatever money he wanted. I could have been talked into bringing him back at the right price. And I think I have a more positive view of James Harden than some that, I don't know. The bottom line is it wasn't going to happen. Harden was worse than garbage in 5 of those 7 games. That is something that I think gets lost a little bit. That we all remember the good points, and the James Harden people love to bring up the high points, but the games that he did not play well, it was beyond just bad. It was impossible to win with James Harden on the floor bad, and that is the duality of James Harden. That averages are always such a funny thing when they're referred to because they're different for each guy. Obviously with that, but like for some guys, an average is, if you're averaging 20 a game, you're getting 22, 18, 20, 21, something like that. With James Harden, it's like you get 37 one game and then you get 11 the next, and then you get 33 one game and then you get 12 the next game. It was the all or nothing games, and so much of that was just dependent on whether his dribble, step back 3-pointers went in or not. Cap Harden played good in every game the Sixers won that series. Yeah, but he did not in the games they lost, which is kind of the point being there. And I do think that was very connected. The Knicks are the new Villanova. Yeah, definitely right about that. RB going global. Loved all that. Literally all my favorite Villanova teams playing the same way they did winning that chip. Yeah, the Knicks are fun to watch. The way that they do play together, the way that they mess with each other, the relationships. I know there's the Roommates podcast coming out with Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's elite, man. He truly is an NBA superstar. And the Hornets look like we're getting ready to start the second half again. The New York Knicks can't lose to the lowly Hornets even without Joel. I absolutely agree here that this is a serious second half for the Sixers team, that they cannot afford to allow, not to capitalize on the games that you can win. That this is an opportunity to get a win without the big fella. You have to make sure that that does happen. So they got to come out focused. And we are tipping off for the second half here. Hornets with the ball off the rip. Buddy Hield guarding Seth Curry. Seth Curry kicking to Cody Martin. Cody Martin back to Curry. Curry attacking. Hits a little rise up, but can't hit on the jumper. Kyle Lowry with the board. Coming down the other end. Little layoff for Buddy Hield, who kicks to Tobias, who's looking to get downhill, now posting up and fading away, and gets the shooter's roll. Tough shot that manages to find a way to fall. If the Sixers lose the game, the season is officially over. I wouldn't go that far, but it would certainly be a very poor sign. This is one that I do think this team needs. And Mo Bamba with some good defense on Nick Richards, able to force the miss. Kyle Lowry coming down the other end, a little yo-yo dribble as he's coming down the court. Love to see that, a little pizzazz on it. Ball in Tyrese Maxey's hand now. Facing up Cody Martin, Mo Bamba comes to set a screen. Maxey rejects it, passes out of it, leads to an open three in the corner for Lowry, who knocks it down. Good offense by the Sixers there. That was pretty clinical, the way that Maxey just picked that apart. Good stuff all around there. We win this game. I love the optimism here. I think so too. I feel good about it. And yep, Edwards putting the threes up. Boom. As Nick Richards answers down the other end. Sixers look like they're playing with a little more pace coming out the second half. They're making a conscious effort to get after it. Maxey can't quite hit a little floater, but gets his own rebound. Takes him 2 tries, but he does ultimately put it down. As we get ready, second half, up and away. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Let's run these numbers up to 139 likes. Got 121 watching right now. Let's try and get that over 200. Come on, let's keep this rolling. We get a little boom. Let's get the buzzer going. There we go. 67-65, the Hornets with a lead. How early do you think the Sixers can take back the lead? Maxey, another goaltend. Count the bucket. Nick Richards is just a goaltending machine, man. Yep, like the stream. We got some more Harden arguing here. RB brings fans together. Absolutely. RB going global. Love to see it. I don't understand why Nick Richards keeps goaltending. That's a couple now. Up to 141 on the likes. Love that. Looks like they're playing through Seth Curry a decent bit. It's also interesting. We remember, and I kind of talk about the Buddy Hield playing this Seth Curry, JJ Redick role. I think Buddy Hield's like a far better basketball player than either one of them. JJ was closer than Seth, but Buddy, there's just more that he can do. I can't count how many easy layups the Hornets have had tonight. Talk about Jalen Brunson. Oh, I would love to, man. I think Jalen Brunson is genuinely a top 10 NBA player. I think he's that good. He's a guy that is a playoff riser, and he is why I am considering the Knicks legit. So, yeah. Sixers with the ball now. Maxey looking to attack again. Ooh, little Euro step. Kicks out to Tobias Harris, who shoots the 3. Can't hit on that one. I take Jalen Brunson in a playoff series over anybody on the Sixers. Also, I'm a Nova fan. I'll always love him. It's tough to argue there that when we talk about a guy who has a track record of, and Mo Bamba, those are the ones where you just have to block. Cody Martin with a tough and one finish. Mo Bamba just has to block that one. Those are the ones that frustrate me. But yeah, Jalen Brunson is a guy who He is a playoff riser. He's at his best in the big moments. He loves center stage, and there's just a maturity and composure to his game, which is super refreshing to see. Jason saying that was my favorite Nova team, and the fact that they're all on the same team besides Mikal. And yeah, Mikal Bridges, a guy that will forever be an empty spot in Sixers fans' hearts. The fact that he was drafted, his mom working for the organization, all those things, and he just would be the perfect player. Sixers ball back inbounds. Kyle Lowry taking it up the floor. Calling looks like a horn set. Yep, calling that. Ball in Mo Bamba's hand. They look like they're trying to create a shot for Tobias. Is not happening. Ends up with a Lowry three-pointer. Interesting off-ball movement. Pure horn set with none of it really coming together there. And when I say horn set, that essentially means the three-pointers are at the corners. Essentially, is the design of it. Little more to it than that, but that's the basics of it. Hornets step back three, cannot hit. Maxi's also been really committed on rebounding lately, which the team needs. So like to see it. Bamba gets pulled out of position and Nick Richards gets an easy lay-in. Hornets now back up to a 7-point lead. Yeah, it looks like they came out with a little punch to the second half, that they had a little extra pace in this game, and Hornets are doubling Maxi right at the top of right when he crosses half court, which is a struggle. Tobias, nice take, attacks the rim, takes the physicality, and finishes around the contact. That's a tough finish. It's a grown man's finish. Best Tobias game we've had in several weeks at this point. So that's good news right there. Miles Bridges putting it down on the floor on the other end, kicks to the corner. Seth Curry with the ball now, trying to take Kyle Lowry off the dribble, kicks back to Cody Martin in the corner, who fires a three and cannot hit. Buddy Hield pulls down the board. Tyrese Maxey dribbling up down the other end. He's eyeing up Bridges. A little step back. He kicks to Buddy now. Buddy trying to attack. A little fadeaway two and gets it to fall. Good shot by Buddy Hield. Another example of him having more to his game than he's been given credit. That's a tough shot that he just hit. Now Buddy D'ing up on the other side. Hornets attacking the basket. Kicks out to Seth Curry with the ball in his hands. Miles Bridges setting a screen. We got Seth Curry on Buddy Hield. Looks like he's looking for his own shot. Gets it in to kick Cody Martin, who shoots a fadeaway too as the shot clock expires. Jeez. 76-71, the Hornets hold a lead. Tyrese Maxey with the ball on the other side. He's getting doubled again. They're really not letting him take over. Ball kicks it to Tobias, who's trying to capitalize off these mismatches. He's often the beneficiary as Maxey forces up a three and misses badly. Kicks it to Buddy Hield. Sixers get the board, and Buddy hits a three. Well done by Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, that marks his, I believe, third three of the game. Yeah, that will be his third three of the game. And I'm going to hit a little refresh on this page for you guys here. Let's make sure these stats are up to date. Yeah, there we go. We have 78-74 as the Hornets. Nick Richards gets a nice tip in to add that 78th point. Maxey up to 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Buddy Hield up to 13. And Tobias with 19 points and 8 rebounds. Very good Tobias game. This has been, once again, the best performance we've seen from him in several weeks. They need that. They need this version of Tobias. Buddy looking to get busy. He's got Miles Bridges on him. He's slicing and dicing, takes a step back three and cannot hit. Hornets get the rebound. Cody Martin dribbling up. Snaking his way. He's got Maxey on his back. Tough little floater. No, he just throws it up to Nick Richards. And there's a foul call. Let's check in on a couple comments. Jamie saying Tobias showing up finally, and it doesn't matter. Big Taz saying Maxey should be on the bench and in the locker room. I don't know about all that. Maxey's still playing solid. Sixers could have had SGA and Brunson if they end up with Zaire Smith, Landry Shaman, and Shake Milton. Yeah, that hurts. Paul Reed checking back in the game. Shout out Nick Curcio. Let's see. Oh yeah, I missed this. I want to acknowledge this one from Zach. Said I miss Colin Gillespie, man. He's got a chance on any other team. It's just that he's on Denver. Eric Dixon is going to be a great NBA player. I just don't believe is not going to be a great NBA player. I just don't believe. Yeah, I don't think Eric Dixon is an NBA player. Unfortunately, I would agree with you on that. And Colin Gillespie, don't count him out. But I do think he's a guy that it'll take a couple years for him to fit the Nugget system or get his opportunity. But I think it's actually a pretty good place for him. Now they need shooters around Jokic. They need guys that cut in the way that he can. I think he'll eventually work his way into that Nuggets rotation. But as you mentioned, there's a very high standard that this is the defending champions and guys with aspiration to get another. So tough to earn minutes off the rip, but I do think it's a good place for him in the long term. Dom saying that the Sixers at some point have to play defense if they want to win that game. I would agree with you there. Yeah, that has not been impressive. And Bamba has to sit down. That's what we're seeing. I see what you did there with the Bamba. We are getting Paul Reed to check back into the game. Even with Paul Reed, the defense has still not been good enough. So they need more than they've been getting. And yeah, Colin Gillespie is a real deal shooter. Sixers got terrible scouts. Yeah, hire me. I'll be a Sixers scout. I would love to be a Sixers scout, man. That'd be awesome. Did apply for that job at a point in time, but did not get the nod. So yeah, maybe I could help out a little bit. I was a Tyrese Maxey guy from the opening rip that I have articles before that draft written about how the Sixers have to trade up and get Tyrese Maxey. I can't believe he fell to 21, but it made me look very good after the fact, and it still is to this day. So pretty happy with that call there. Also was a big Isaiah Joe guy, Paul Reed guy, and definitely am with Turk Smith and Ricky Council IV as well. So we'll see. I do think there's some decent young guys in the pipeline, more so than has been the case in previous situations. But overall, for sure true. The Sixers have not done a good job of scouting. Sixers coming back from commercial now, about to resume play. They need some good Paul Reed minutes here. That the energy that he brings, the defensive ability that he possesses, this is the time where he needs to turn up with all that kind of stuff, all that side of things. Taking a look at the rookie charts, and the Sixers are very lucky that the Hornets do not have Brandon Miller. I do think Brandon Miller averaging 16.5 points per game. Yeah, he would have been very helpful for the Hornets in this game. And yes, Zach, I do know Johnson's Farm right by Lenape there. Glitch saying, like the stream. Absolutely. Let's run up these numbers, guys. Shout out. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Let's run these likes up, get these numbers out, and shout out to all the members chilling in here. All right, as we resume play right here, Hornets with the inbounds. They kick a little duck down. Sixers making some subs. They're now rolling with the lineup of Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, and Nico Batum. This is probably their jumbo-sized lineup right now. And in normal situations, that would be pretty wild to say. But with Batum, Paul Reed, and Tobias on the floor, it's probably the best size that they're going to get. And a tough finish by Maxey down the other end. Really had to fade away, going with the left hand, and had to finish around. So very cool there. Hornets coming back down the other end. Nick Richards with the ball on the perimeter. Hands off and gets it back. Paul Reed on him. Good D by Paul. Good D by Paul. Forces the pass. Seth Curry with it now. Tobias all over him. Good defensive possession by the Sixers, and they force a shot clock violation. Nope, we're going to play on as Kyle Lowry got it just in time. That's the type of defense that they need. That was probably their best defensive possession of this game. Let's tighten up. Let's lock all windows and doors. It's a great Mark Sumoff used to say. Paul Reed with the ball now. Kicks it back to Kyle Lowry. Maxey with a step back three and knocks it down. Maxey looks like he's starting to feel it a little bit. He's up to 23 points, and the Sixers retake the lead 79-78. Just over 4 minutes left in this third quarter now. Feeling a little more optimistic about the Sixers team at the moment. But the Hornets answer with a three-pointer. Tough shot there. I believe that guy's name is Misic or Misic, something along those lines. Not super familiar with his game, but have seen his name run across the stat sheet a couple times. Maxey with the ball down the other end. Batum setting a screen. The Hornets did not double on that situation. It looks like the Hornets have changed up their defensive style a little bit, and Maxey can't quite hit a fadeaway too. Kyle Lowry get the board and finishes. His rebounding has been very good. He's just scrappy. He's just in the mix constantly. The Lowry experience has been very positive so far. Let me throw a little yes, sir, into that. Let's get this. Boom. Shout out Kyle Lowry for the putback dunk. Weird seeing Seth Curry in a Hornets jersey. That's cool. Worked at Johnson's Farm. If Springer gets a ring before Maxey and Embiid, then Morey got to leave Philly. LOL. Yeah, I'm still a little frustrated with the Jaden Springer stuff. I do think, and I'll bring this up once again, I think Ricky Council IV playing the way that he has and them seeing this version of Ricky Council IV in practice on a daily basis was pretty motivating to recouping a second-round pick in exchange for Jaden Springer. I think Jaden Springer in the long term will be a useful and good NBA player, but at this point in time, he just straight up isn't yet. So this is something where they needed to get a little bit more of a win-now improvement that they kind of – Daryl Morey was pretty open that he believed his window to be a productive NBA player is a little further back than they expected. So they had to kind of upgrade that. So they added the draft pick, something that can potentially be flipped for a veteran next year, was what Morey said. And then, of course, that we do see what Ricky Council IV is doing in this opportunity. So Hornets with an 82-81 lead. Maxey back with the ball in his hands, hands it off to Kyle Lowry, but then gets it back off a screen, throws it to B-ball Paul. Paul hits Lowry cutting, who throws it away, looking for Tobias Harris. A little miscommunication there. Lowry still not quite on the same page with all these guys. With Tobias specifically, that looked like they ran to the same spot here. Sixers can't guard the 3-man. Why, even with the new coach? I thought it was a Doc thing. Yeah, I think that's a pretty legitimate gripe there that I've been frustrated. A lot of it I've seen issue with comes from the big man spot. That with both Paul Reed and Joel Embiid, I think they would much rather focus on protecting the rim, which obviously is their primary duty. But there's opportunities where they just straight up have to get outside and they don't. I think that happens all too often as the Sixers are bailed out by a miss by Davis Bertans. A pretty good look for him there, taking it down the other end. Maxey with the ball, handing off or passing to Tobias. He's got Bertans on him, looking to take him. He's got help coming his way. 3 seconds in the lane, I believe, was called. That looks like the call on the Hornets. So Sixers should get a free throw here. Yeah, Sixers need to win. They have to win this one. We're really struggling against this team. Yeah, it's not a great look, not very exciting, but a win is a win. Maxey shooting the free throw, knocks it down. So we are tied up at 82. Sixers will keep the ball. Joel Embiid showing on the bench over there, smiling, dapping up Kyle Lowry as he is subbed out here. He looks in good spirits. Nice little toothy grin on his face right there. I'd love to see that out of Joel. I'm sure they're talking plenty about his potential return. The fact that he's around the team as much as he constantly is, like lately, I think is very encouraging. That Joel is a guy that likes to be in his own world, be in his own zone, stay away from the team. You can critique that if you want, but I think the fact that he's not doing that is pretty telling and a redeeming quality of Joel right now. So happy to see all of that. Playing like a lottery team tonight, but still have lots of players out. Yeah. And another injury I want to acknowledge is D'Anthony Melton. Really sucks, man. He missed 18 consecutive games with that back injury, came back for 3 games. In that third game, played just 8 minutes against the Celtics before he had to leave with a re-injury to that back injury. Very frustrating. And that's a guy that's very beneficial for the Sixers team, a very helpful basketball player. There was a ton that they were doing from some lineup versatility standpoints, running the 3-guard lineups with Melton on the floor. They just can't do that anymore. And there's no timeline being established outside of he's out tonight, will not travel on the road stand moving forward. But this seems like it's going to be a long-term issue for D'Anthony Melton with his back. And we know back injuries. So we've seen this time in and time out with plenty of guys. There are things that linger. And with D'Anthony Melton specifically, we know that he had a back injury last year. He had a different back injury this year, and the Sixers were very publicly stating that had no relation to the past back injury. This was a completely different circumstance. But then after missing 18 games, re-injuring just on his third game back in is very concerning. So hopefully he is shut down for the foreseeable future and he's able to return and play minutes at some point this year. But I do think it's a long-term issue with D'Anthony Melton and very frustrating. Sean chiming in saying these calls are crazy. Yeah, I couldn't tell if Nick Nurse did challenge that or if he was just reaming out the official, but they called a foul on Campaign on that last play, which to me looked like it was all ball. Bertans was attacking the basket a little out of control, kind of had the ball down by his chest area, and Payton came in and swiped it. I thought he got the ball clean. I'm sure we'll see a replay when they come back. Edward saying the cheesesteak arrived for the game. Love that. Cheesesteak's a rock, man. 90-day injury, Sean. I hope that's not the case, but I definitely think that's on the table. I think that's something that, could be in the conversation. They have not really given a timeline, nor do they that often. Yeah, Jason's saying, yeah, I'm surprised he's with the team as much as he is. I've been pleasantly surprised by that as well. That's been one of the critiques of Joel is he is a guy that lives in his own world a little bit, that he would rather stay with his son and his wife and just stay with his family, play FIFA and hang out. I like that he's been around the team more. He's been at practices. He's been sitting on the bench. He brought Arthur with him the other day. And by the way, Arthur totally ignoring Tobias Harris to dap up Tyrese Maxey. It was pretty telling for the state of the Sixers right now. Saying back spasms are just part of the recovery process. Back can have residual, especially with the stress reaction. Okay, well, good info there. Hopefully I hope I'm overreacting. I hope that this is not a big deal for D'Anthony Melton. That I would love to be wrong. I would love for him to come back as soon as possible. I think they could use D'Anthony Melton quite a bit on this team, and we will see if that is the case. Sixers returning to the floor right now. Can't tell if that was officially challenged or if just Nick Nurse arguing. They have not really shown a replay or acknowledged it based on what I'm watching. Or shown a replay of a really impressive Tyrese Maxey finish with the left hand. It is amazing how complete his skill set has become on the offensive end. The playmaking, the finishing, the perimeter shooting, even the mid-range, the floater. He does have it all, and he continues to add layers and layers. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey, man. He's up to 24 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds on the game. We got 2:35 left. The Sixers hold by 2. Hornets with the ball. Dribbling. Got an entry pass to Miles Bridges, who turns, and that's too easy. He finishes right around Paul pretty aggressively. Did miss the first one, got his own board, and put it back. It's a tough finish by Miles Bridges there. Maxey dribbling it up down the other end. Hands off to Nico Batum. He gives it to Campaign. Back to Maxey. A little bit of three-man weave action up top. Maxey looks like he gets the matchup he wants, then hands it off to Buddy Hield. Batum, a lot of DHOs in this possession, a lot of dribble handoffs. Campaign attacking the paint, ultimately settles for a little floater around the free throw line and does knock it down over Davis Bertans. That was a weird looking possession. Didn't love all the way everything connected there, but you know what? 2 points is 2 points. Shout out Campaign for burying that. Hornets looking to answer down the other end. Mitish dribbling. Sixers, good defense. They get it to Grant Williams and another Davis Bertans 3-point attempt. I'm scared every time he shoots the ball, man. Buddy Hield out in transition, forced to stop. He kicks it out to Campaign. Tyrese Maxey with the ball. Him with a little step back. Deep 2, can't hit. Hard to get used to seeing little defense. Shout out. Shout out to you. Yeah, this has been some tough defense tonight. Shout out to Prince for popping back in. Are we really as bad as the Hornets? And this is neither of these teams are complete, so I'll put that asterisk next to the Sixers as well. That obviously all these guys, Kelly Oubre, D'Anthony Melton, Joel Embiid, obviously there's plenty of injuries, but the Hornets do not have their full squad either. That no LaMelo Ball and no Brandon Miller, completely different team. And Campaign tries to get a step back 3, cannot hit over Davis Bertans, rims out. Not a bad look there. I'm going to get another steal. Feels like Sixers getting out in transition pretty well this half. Maxey with the ball now is very much fouled. That looked like by Grant Williams, and he's complaining about the call when it was absolutely a foul by Grant Williams. Grant Williams, I think, is among my top fake tough guys of the NBA. That I do think that guy's all bark, no bite, and he's a guy that loves to bark. It's especially annoying in a Hornets uniform. I actually kind of liked it in a Celtics uniform. I liked his game when he played for the Celtics. He is a shooter. He's a guy that has his ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. He did not fit in Dallas whatsoever, and it seemed like they were very determined to move on for him. I thought he gave him good minutes at the start of the year. He kind of tailed off as things went on. But yeah, Grant Williams is he's an interesting character. Once again, all bark, no bite in my mind. He talked his way out of Dallas. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And then there's some reports of him not being in greatest shape either. Yeah. Why is Tobias playing like a starter? Because it is level of competition. That's definitely a big part of it. But you know what? He needed this one from a whole mentality standpoint. That I do think this is important for Tobias to see the ball go through the hoop. That he's up to 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 of 6 from 3, 9 of 13 from the field. That's a really good Tobias Harris game. Whew. I do hope Tobias can continue this. Obviously, I mean, I think from the Sixers standpoint from here on out, it should literally be just win the games you're supposed to. That this is not a team that's going to be able to pull off some massive upsets or have the opportunities to take down the tops of the Eastern Conference. They're just not going to be able to do that without Joel Embiid. But that makes it all the more important to win the games you're supposed to, like tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. It's now an 86-84 game. We got 35 seconds left in the third quarter here. I would love for them to end this strong, take a lead into the fourth. So Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey have combined for 45 points tonight. That's a pretty good performance out of the duo there. Prince saying Grant versus Jimmy was hilarious. That was very funny. I think Joe is back in 3 weeks. I like the injury intels here. I'm with it. 3 weeks would be pretty ideal. And again, all the Sixers got to do, tread water, work your way, stay above in the standings, stay in the top 6, avoid the play-in. Those are the goals in mind. Grant Williams is a Dollar Tree version of Sean Marion. It's a good tweet there. I've been loving those tweets that have been going viral a lot with like this player is the blank of blank. Like I saw one Josh Hart is the LeBron James of Draymond Greens, which I thought that was a good tweet. I was trying to think of one for Tobias, if like Tobias Harris is the like, I don't know. I can help workshop that for me. I'll throw it out on Twitter. Yeah, shout out to Glitch for throwing my Twitter in the chat here. I think it's something along the lines of like Tobias Harris is the Anthony Bennett of LeBron James or something along those lines. Maxey weaves in and manages to get fouled, gets to the free throw line. He's been doing a better job of that, getting a defender on his back and drawing the contact. Just feels like he's in control in a way that he wasn't always. Maxey keep the ball moving. He has at times played a little too much hero ball, but I don't really fault him for that based on, what are the other options? Tobias Harris is a Dollar Tree Carmelo Anthony. That's a good one. That's pretty good. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a good take. He does have a ton of Carmelo in his game. Definitely far worse than Carmelo, too. No debates there. Maxey looks like he's chirping a little bit on the free throw line. I've noticed this from Maxey, that he looks like he's got had a little more spice in his game lately. That he's chirping, he's talking, and that's been rare for him. But I like that. I think that just shows the intensity, maximizing all these things. Phil saying that Maxey needs to pass better. Yeah, I don't fully disagree. I just once again circle back to I don't know where the better option is. I don't know what the better route for them to produce points is than Tyrese Maxey shooting it 30 times a game. That's unfortunately the rough reality of the Sixers current roster. Hornets kick out. It looks like Bryce McDaniels. Ricky Council skies for the board. And B-Ball Paul throwing it up full court as the clock expires. The Sixers will take an 88-84 lead out in the conclusion of the third quarter. So we got Tobias Harris is as good as Division III Grant Hill. It's a good comment. Tobias Harris is the bad side to J. Cole. He does look just like J. Cole for sure. What's Uber's injury? Something with a shoulder, but I haven't seen anything. It doesn't seem to be anything major. I think this is going to be a one and done. He misses this game and back, but it's listed as a shoulder injury. Yeah, Jaylen Brown brought out the ish talking in Maxey. He absolutely did. That was pretty cool when Maxey was doing that because I really stand by Tyrese Maxey was the better player on both sides of the ball for most of that game. The Celtics did break away in the second half and were able to win it pretty comfortably. But Maxey was the guy that for most of that game was picking his pocket, was making sure that he was making a high impact, was stealing his cookies, taking it down the other end, and finishing on the other side of the ball. So I was really happy with that performance. I think that Celtics game, again, I know it's a loss. I know it's something that you can't hold in too high regard because of all that. But I think it was the best defensive game of Tyrese Maxey's career. And it was really cool to witness it and have a good game against the Celtics because he has struggled throughout his career a great deal against the Boston Celtics. So I think that was a little mental hurdle that Tyrese Maxey did clear, being capable of beating the Celtics in the way that he is. And obviously he didn't beat them, but he did his job. If Joel Embiid is in that game and Tyrese Maxey plays like that, I feel pretty good about the Sixers' overall outlook. And that's the way that I'm going to kind of approach things moving forward. Heading into the fourth quarter now, what's the vibes? What's the vibes in the chat? What are we feeling? Got a 4-point lead finally. This has not been an ideal game, but you know what? If you asked me beforehand to be up 4 heading into the fourth, I wouldn't feel terrible about it. Maxey over 7 in the fourth. I think so. I think he gets that. I don't think I see Maxey stopping, slowing down whatsoever. That I think he's going to continue. Maxey out here. Okay, Maxey out here recruiting Brunson and Ant-Man. Love to see it. Hey man, I'll take either one of those guys, no doubt about it. Appreciate you, Zach. Yeah, I have not been on the Twitter sticks much tonight. I don't know how RB does it when he's multitasking, sending out tweets, doing all this. My brain is not that widespread here, but do stay on Twitter very often. I need another replay of that Ricky Council the fourth dunk. That was probably the highlight of this game for me for sure. When they were revealing the Iverson statue. Oh, I did see this today. A couple I forget the exact date offhand, and it is a little ironic and funny to me that they are putting it at the practice facility, by the way. We're talking about practice. Kyle Lowry knifing his way into the mid-range and hits a tough fadeaway. Okay, Kyle. Sixers advanced to a 90-84 lead in the first play. Prince getting some Wawa. Go for the quesadilla from Wawa. That's my take. Barbecue chicken quesadilla or the buffalo chicken as well, or bacon chicken ranch. One of those would be my option. I would go for you, Prince. That's where my mind's at. Tobias taking it up off the floor. We got a 90-86 outlook. I'm getting tired of the Wawa pretzel. Great comments all around. Kyle Lowry got Davis Bertans on him, dancing with him, beating him to the paint. Tough lay-in, can't quite get the roll, but B-Ball Paul with the offensive board dribbles his way out, manages to kick out to Batum, to Payne, some wild-looking offense, and B-Ball Paul catches the lob. Great possession by Paul Reed there, earning some extra point. Wow, pizza. Yeah, got to go to Massimo's a Red Star. You're absolutely right about that one. And Shizzy, dude, the buffalo chicken quesadilla with melted cheddar's paradise. Yep, you know food. I'm with you. Make sure we're tapping into RB's merch with the link here, and let's keep running up these like numbers. Everyone, make sure you're subscribing if you have not already. Drop a like. Let's get these numbers up. Let's get it to 200 likes. That was a nice lob. Well done by Campaign and B-Ball Paul. That was a great B-Ball Paul possession. He just created 2 points out of nothing. The offensive rebound, the tenacity, as Davis Bertans, another three-pointer. Dude, he is jacking it. He is letting three-pointers go at every chance he gets. He's barely caught some of these. Bertans, no, guarding Tobias down the other end, kicks to Batum, who knocks down a three. Nice shot by Batum. Sixers now advance to a 9-point lead. Now it feels like the wheels are starting to turn out the mud. Let's go. Biggest lead of the game. There we go. All right, let's close this thing out. Now I think we're at the defining moment of the game. You guys ready for this right here? Is these next few minutes, either the Hornets have a punch back in them and this becomes a game again, or the Sixers run them out the gym from here. I think these next couple minutes will define the game. A little Bucky's love. Look at that. That's fair, Zach. But a little Bucky's from Bucky's I would describe as Wawa combined with Walmart. That there's a lot going down. There's no doubt about it. That Bucky's is something. We're definitely sharing the ball much better. 31 assists. Love that. Let's take a quick look at some of these team stats right here while we have a commercial break here. Sixers shooting 49.3% from the field, 45.5% from three, 33 three-point attempts. I like that a lot. I've been complaining about this team not shooting enough three-pointers, so love that. Out-rebounding the Hornets 38-27. Love that. 12 offensive rebounds. Good numbers there. And 31 assists on 37 made field goals is pretty spectacular stuff. Great shout out there. Yeah, that's really, those are really good numbers there. I am out of curiosity. Let's take a look. How many three-pointers? Bertans 3 for 8 from three. Wow, feels like he shot even more of that. The Nick Richards now their leading scorer with 17 points. He only has 4 rebounds. Feels like more. Miles Bridges has 15 and 10. Misic also has 11 off the bench. And the Sixers, Tyrese Maxey leading the way with 26. Tobias Harris with 21. Only going 9 deep in the rotation. I guess that's kind of due to the players that are available. But Tobias Harris, Mo Bamba, Kyle Lowry, Tyrese Maxey, and Buddy Hield are your starters. Mo Bamba, the only player with fewer than 10 points there. Bamba's only played 19 minutes. I don't think Nick Nurse has loved the minutes he's gotten from him. In comparison, Paul Reed up to 17 on the game. Ricky Council only with 5 minutes, the lowest on the Sixers. Wouldn't mind giving him a little extra run here. 31 assists, yeah. 31 assists on 37 made baskets. Really impressive stuff. Yeah, the Wawa pizza, not quite it. Shout out Tyrese Maxey, but no. The Toyota turning point they're giving out right now. They're giving it to Kyle Lowry for that little fadeaway. As I mentioned, I think this is the defining moment in the game that we see. Can the Sixers team put them to bed? If they can go on a nice little 8-0 run right here, this game's over. But you got to make sure that is the case. Don't let them sneak back into it. Just like last game, Tobias is making threes and is different and is the difference in the game. I feel like if he makes them, we have a few more wins. Yeah, I think that's completely fair to say. She shot 25% from three throughout the month of February. That is not going to cut it. Batum called for a foul after the inbounds pass. Looks like he caught Bertans cross the eye a little bit there. Incidental accident. Went for the ball. Bertans really milking this one up though. Got 10:02 left on the clock. Hornets going for the inbounds. They get the ball to Grant Williams with Tobias Harris on him, running a play for Bertans for another three. Good closeout by Paul, but he sidesteps it and knocks one down. That's been the Hornets offense today. They're running it for Bertans, so I guess he didn't get hit in the eye too hard if he can see the basket there. Campaign dribbling down the other end. I wouldn't mind putting Maxey back in. I know that you got to give him a rest at some point, but I want to put this game away. Kyle Lowry puts the ball on the deck now. He's got Bertans. No, Cody Martin on him. Kicks back to Payne. To B-ball Paul cutting. Spins a little out of control, but gets the lay-in. Tough finish by B-ball Paul. Been a very good B-ball Paul game that I've been very happy with the minutes that he's provided. That maybe there's something to splitting him and Bamba's minutes as Paul Reed sends it down the other end and lets him know about it. Cody Martin, don't try that in B-ball Paul's house. That's what he is letting him know. And the bench is fired up. Robert Covington celebrating on the bench. Have not seen that man in months. Yeah, totally agree here. This is Wizards Bertans tonight. Absolutely. Hornets looking at inbounds. Cody Martin with the ball. Bertans is one of those dudes who kills us. Up there with Bones Highland and Al Horford. Yeah, Chris Boucher, I'll throw on that mix there. Bertans is definitely a Sixers killer. Chris Boucher is the one that I always think of. And Bertans, another three. Can he hit it? He cannot. Board by Tobias Harris. He is getting up his shot, Tobias Bertans tonight, making that money back. Toby coming down the other end, sizing up Cody Martin, digging his shoulder in, trying to get to his spot, and gets blocked by Nick Richards. He did beat Cody Martin with the spin, but ultimately Nick Richards saw it coming, came across, and sealed it. Cody Martin with the ball down the other end, got Paul Reed on him. Nick Richards trying to set a pick, cannot get the switch. Cody Martin trying to beat Paul off the dribble. Pretty good defense by Paul Reed, but Cody Martin able to finish around him. Not a bad effort by Paul, but a tough shot. And we're down to a 6-point game once again. And this is exactly what I was talking about. That I thought we were in the clear. I thought they could step on the throat, prove that this game is out of reach, and that has not been the case. Kyle Lowry for three does knock it down. That's a big shot. That pushes them back up 9. Sixers holding a 100-91 advantage. 8:25 left to play. Should be getting Tyrese Maxey checking back into this game pretty soon. Campaign with a good ball denial, playing good defense up top. Ultimately, they do get the ball in his hands. Tobias Harris playing defense now. Kicks to Nick Richards. Handoff for Cody Martin. I thought he walked. Spins it back to Nick Richards, who goes up with it and is fouled. Kyle Lowry and Campaign both arguing pretty strongly on that foul call there. I didn't see much. I do think that the Hornets got away with a walk by Cody Martin there. How that Rob's denim shirt is mean. Yeah, that's a fire shirt. I miss Covington, man. I hope he rests up. I'm hearing like 2 more weeks and still he might return to the floor. They need him. He's going to be a helpful player on this team. His defensive ability, his size, and his 3-point shooting. They need Robert Covington back on this team. That's going to be a high-level rotation player come playoff time, assuming that he is 100%. Lowry with a really good game. Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Lowry up to 13 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists in 28 minutes of play. That's more than I could ever hope to get from Kyle Lowry. Frankly, that's above my expectations for him. Yeah, he can still play. He's been the Kyle Lowry. Been the Kyle Lowry that you hope for. The Kyle Lowry that we saw in a Raptors uniform for all these years. Nick Richards able to knock down both free throws. So we got a 7-point game. Doesn't look like Maxey, and Maxey has just checked in now. So for the final 8:07, let's see if we can close this thing out. Ball with Batum with Bertans on it. He is everywhere tonight. Good pass by Paul to Tobias underneath who finishes. Paul Reed, strong game tonight. Paul Reed's up there. I think Paul Reed and Kyle Lowry have been the 2 that have impressed me the most tonight. Maxey's been good as well. And Tobias, obviously. Been an overall solid game. But they got to find a way to close. Tough finish. Tyrese Maxey back with the ball, 102.95. Maxey getting downhill. Tough finish, can't hit, but Batum with the putback. Look at Nico Batum getting up there and putting it in. And Maxey, he looks like he tried to pull a little Jose Alvarado action there. Came hiding in the corner, came sprinting out trying to get that steal, but could not make it happen. We have a timeout on the floor now as both teams retreat to their bench, 104-95 in favor of the Sixers. Covington would be helpful if we make the playoffs, LOL. I don't understand how a bone bruise is taking this long for Cov. Yeah, the injury with Covington has been very strange. I don't really understand the details on it, what exactly is going on, or what the issue is. They've been very vague in any reporting of things. And some of the quotes have been really pessimistic. I know a couple weeks ago, this was a little bit before the All-Star game, of Nick Nurse saying and yeah, once again, let's get these likes up. Let's see if we can get to 200 by the end of it. Let's see what we're sitting at for the numbers right now. We got 194 watching right now, 162 on the likes. Let's get this to 200. But yeah, with Robert Covington, which I guess we're not getting a lot of Covington love from everyone. Like there was one quote from Nick Nurse saying how there's no light at the end of the tunnel for it. And it's like, okay, what exactly is he dealing with here? Because if it's a bone bruise, it shouldn't be something that concerning. So I don't know. The bottom line is we need him back on the floor. And particularly when you think back to the beginning of the season, guys like Marcus Morris, who are playing over him, no longer here. So there is the opportunity for Robert Covington to earn a real role. And he's a guy that I think can be very useful. And particularly when you think ahead to the playoffs, which I'm still confident that they get, despite some of these comments here, if they're in the playoffs. I do think they could slide down to potentially the play-in is pretty much worst case scenario, but there's no world where I think they drop below the 8 seed. I think that's worst case scenario. And frankly, I'm still a believer that they stay. I think they ultimately finish the 6th seed is my overall prediction with the Sixers team. I do think that they're going to scrap their way to a couple surprising victories. Joel's going to return and play a couple more regular season games, keep that locked up, and then be ready for the playoffs. And frankly, the seeding does not matter. You have to beat anyone or beat everyone anyway. And we've been through the process with this Sixers team where they've eyed up the potential seeding, eyed up matchups. None of it has translated to getting out the second round. So there's no reason to get too caught up in the regular season success this year. And by the way, I will say that from a matchup standpoint with Covington, when you think about teams like the Boston Celtics, that's got to be an opportunity for Covington to shine. That who's a better option than him to match up with the Jason Tatums of the world, the Jaylen Browns, or even you want to look at like a Giannis or a guy like that. That they don't have a lot of options when it comes to perimeter defense. It's unfortunate how reliant I think they're going to be on Robert Covington, but I do think he's going to be able to step up to the challenge. Good comment from Charles here saying today, March 1st, is the last day for players to be bought out or waived and still be eligible for this year's playoffs with a new team. It's about 9 p.m. now, so I guess no new names to add to the list for today. Yeah, there's a couple buzzes of names becoming available, or more so it was guys or teams converting guys from two-way deals to regular contracts, but these Sixers have been completely quiet in that world. Hornets get a good look for Cody Martin for 3 coming out of the break, but he cannot hit. Tobias with the board. Maxey dribbling it up, taking his time. Just over 7 minutes left to play. Bertans fouls Batum on the entry pass. Good battle by the two there. Good job by Batum not to give up any ground. Are the Sixers in the bonus already? No, just yeah. Nope, not in the bonus yet. That would have been pretty surprising. Ball back in Batum's hand, kicks to Tobias, who gets a nice look from 3 and knocks it down. 107-95. The Sixers are up to a 12-point lead. I believe this is the biggest lead of the game. Martin trying to answer down the other end, spinning, prodding, kicks it out. Tough little lay-in from Miles Bridges. 10-point game, 6:40 left to play. Maxey taking his time with the ball in his hands once again. Just crossing half court now. Yeah, hard to trust even a 12-point lead giving our D. I agree. This game is not over yet. They have not shown any bit of that killer instinct. B-Ball Paul thinking about a 3 and one of the stranger pump fakes I've ever seen. But nice pass to Maxey from Paul. B-Ball Paul just diamond up out here. He squeezed that one between two defenders to create an open look for Maxey. Shout out to Paul Reed, man. Out the mud. Miles Bridges trying to answer on the other end. Spins into a tough fadeaway too. And Maxey, who else? But has the rebound. Taking it himself down the other side of the floor. Kicking to Paul. Paul might want the jumper this time. Euro steps, kicks out to Batum with a great look from the top of 3 and can't hit. But ball is oh, the Hornets managed to keep it in play and go down the other end. And ultimately a take foul by Kyle Lowry. It looks like they're back in transition. No punishment there, but does slow the flow of play. Nice headsy move by the veteran. Look at that pass from B-Ball Paul. Just tucked in between Cody Martin, right in between the two defenders. Very impressive stuff. And he's throwing up the goggles. He's throwing it up. I love it, people. I love it. Appreciate Glitch throwing this in there. There's a link to my Twitter there. Interesting comment. I'm going to attack that in a second. Right now, Hornets with the ball. Miles Bridges once again trying to get to his spot. He's really in attack mode right now. They call a foul on Tobias for that. Really? I do not think that was a foul. I don't know what more Tobias can do in that situation. Yeah, and I guess the back-to-backs are finally getting to the Charlotte Hornets. It should be noted that they did play the Milwaukee Bucks last night and did suffer a loss there. They scrapped back into that game late. Bucks held a comfortable lead for most of that matchup, but Hornets did show a little bit of fight at the end, but it does seem like that late in this one, the minutes might be wearing on some legs, it looks. And I did want to attack this comment from Prince Monito here. Shout out to you, Prince. Said, will this be the last, quote, process playoff run before he takes over to a potentially new era of the Sixers? Everyone can have their own opinion on this with the start and end of the process. For me, it's fully around Joel Embiid. That as long as Joel Embiid's here, it's still a part of the process in my mind, and that until Joel Embiid is playing for another team or no longer in the NBA, I still believe this is a part of the process. So for me, it's as long as Joel's window in my mind, but I understand others that would disagree with that mindset here. Could Sixers just waive or buy out Covington because his injury seems worse than everybody thought? I mean, they could, but I don't see any useful player that they can gain access to. If there was a guy out there that they wanted, they could outright sign them right now, that they still have 2 open roster spots. One of those I would like to be used for Ricky Council IV to be a guy, and I think it's probably pretty likely, or at least there's a chance that we see a late notification of Daryl Morey making some sort of signing tonight. He's a guy that does like to push it up to the deadline. We'll see if that is the case, or maybe they're comfortable not rolling 15 deep in the playoffs. I don't love that mindset and frankly hope that's not the case, but I do think the best version of Covington, of him fully healthy, is a better player than any guy you can outright sign right now that is free agent. If they're a free agent at this point in the season, that's probably for a reason. Looks like we're resuming action right here. The Hornets going to have a pair of free throws for Miles Bridges here. Or I'm sorry, just the second half of it right there. And he does knock down that one. Down to a 10-point game, 109-99 with 5:34 left to play. Tyrese taking it up the floor, kicks to Tobias, who gives it to Paul Reed at the top of the 3. Looks like B-Ball Paul might be in the closing lineup, so he's played himself out of the doghouse. Batum with a decent 3-point look, but cannot knock it down. Ran a nice little pin down for Batum. They've been doing some good stuff off ball to create that. And as Glitch mentions, make sure we're liking the stream. Let's run these numbers up. We got 5 minutes left of action. Let's get these numbers as high as we possibly can. Hornets with the ball back in play here. Miles Bridges with it in his hand. Tobias playing defense, gets screened way too easily, and Bridges gets to the rim. That was more of a foul than some of the ones they have called, but the whistles are silent. Somebody just went down on the Hornets, looked pretty hurt. We got 5-on-4 action for the Sixers. Oh, it's Seth Curry, too. That's disappointing. He looks like he's hurt. I'm not going to lie. That looks like a knee or an ankle issue. Looks like the ankle he's grabbing. He's in some serious pain. Poor Seth Curry, man. Not going to put any hate on Seth Curry. And Nick, by the way, you just missed the dime of his career for B-Ball Paul. Fitting in with 2 guys in a tight window. Seth Curry having to be helped off the court a little bit. Yeah, he's putting very little weight on that ankle. Poor Seth, man. I like Seth Curry. Can't root for any sort of injury like that, and 0 weight on it. He's being basically carried to the locker room right now. Nick Richards and one of the athletic staff giving help there, showing a replay. Did he roll it? Oof, yeah, rolled it pretty bad. That was one of those 90-degree kind of rolled ankle situations. Poor Seth, man. I think he's had some ankle issues in the past, too. I know his brother has. That Steph certainly has dealt with plenty. I think Seth has had some issues as well. Disappointing. That's you never want to see that for any guy, and especially a dude who's as classy as Seth Curry. Maxey coming out of the break, shoots a deep 3, rims out. The Hornets do get a rebound, taking it back up the floor. Kicked it to Grant Williams in the corner who attacks and finishes, and the foul. Bad foul by Kyle Lowry. I did not love that foul. Looks like he tried to take a smart technical foul, but did not put enough on it and ultimately gave up the and one opportunity. The Sixers look like they're going to close with Paul Reed, and they should. He's been very good tonight. As far as the lineup on the floor right now, they have Kyle Lowry, they have Paul Reed, they have Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and Nico Batum is the 5. I would expect that to be the closing lineup as we have 4:38 left to play. I can't see anybody else getting mixed in here. Yeah, it looks like Paul Reed has definitely outplayed Mo Bamba tonight. So it looks like they're riding with the hot hand with that. Yeah, appreciate you, Matt from Tampa, Florida. Let's get these likes up. Let's get this over 200 for RB in the house tonight. Jamie chiming in saying Toby stepped up tonight, only to step down tomorrow. Wow, yeah. It's unfortunately the case, but you got to take the wins while they're happening. As Maxey bangs home a 3, that's a big shot, pushes the lead up 11. Got 4:15 left on the clock. Hornets taking it the other direction. Miles Bridges with a little step back 3 and big shot. Hornets needed that one as well. Quite the answer from Bridges. We just got to win this. Totally agree with Jason here. They got to find a way. Just keep scrapping. Maxey with the ball in his hands, getting the screen from Kyle Lowry. He's got 2 on him, kicks to Lowry. Lowry now with 2, kicks back to Maxey. Maxey sizing up, looking for attack, looking for the step back, spinning to his spot at the block, lays off to Paul Reed, who can't hit, but it looks like a foul was called beforehand. Hornets are not going away. You're absolutely right, Nick. Close it out, Max. It is your time. And it looks like these Sixers are now in the bonus, which could be a big deal down the stretch. Paul Reed gets the inbounds pass. Hands off to Maxey. Maxey back to Paul Reed, who Euro steps. I thought he took one too many there. Kicks it to Maxey for a wide open 3 as the ball spins around. Maxey can't hit. That would have been a big one. That would have brought the house down there. Hornets back with the ball in their hands, taking it down the other direction. Taking on, kicks it out. I think it's Misic looking to attack Kyle Lowry. Jeez, and Lowry, they called a foul. I thought there was a chance he got ball. How many fouls is Lowry up to, by the way? That would be that. I believe that's number 4 on him. And Lowry definitely pretty foul happy out here in the second half. He did get armed. That was the right call, unfortunately. Praying for OT. Oh gosh, I don't want any part of overtime. Yeah, I would agree. Lowry killing us with these fouls right now. Yeah, I agree. Bonus is huge. Totally agree. Yeah, they're back in action on Sunday after this, but they got to close this one out. Play the Mavericks on Sunday, which is a tough game. Sixers could use to take advantage of this one. Six-point game we got now as Misic knocks down both free throws. Kyle Lowry picks up the inbounds pass. We got 3:20 on the clock, and he calls a timeout. Sixers are going to take their time. Wouldn't surprise me if they do some sort of lineup change. Kyle Lowry making some sort of statement to the referee there. Looks like he just dropped the ball, gave some sort of signal to him. So whatever, Kyle, I'm on your side. You've played pretty well tonight, except for those recent fouls. While we do have it here in the break, let's make sure we are running up those likes, guys. Appreciate all the members in the chat hanging with me tonight. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel if you have not just yet. And once again, you can catch all of my work as well on Sixers Digest, as well as Pick Swap Media. Also catch me on Fox Sports The Gambler on the airwaves over there, the Fox Sports affiliate of Philadelphia. But excited to be filling in for RB tonight. We are in for crunch time, people. We got just over 3 minutes on the clock, a 6-point game. Not exactly how you would want things to go at this point in things, but this is still a very winnable game that the Sixers have a chance to pull this out, and they got to get their foot on the gas to make sure that that is the case. We're up to 179 likes. We got 208 watching right now. Let's see if we can run those numbers up to 200. Let's see if we can get up to 200 likes. Come on, I want to make sure I can report positive back to RB. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in and hanging with me tonight. I'm trying to think if there's any way, any changes the Sixers could possibly be making right now. Buddy Hield, he has not seen the floor in a little bit. He has slowed down a little. Curious if he gets an opportunity here, although I think they're more of the defensive mindset, which could point toward Ricky Council IV possibly get an opportunity, or they stick with the lineup that was on the floor as they left. We are returning to action right now. Let's take a look at what the lineups are looking like right now, showing the crowd. And it looks like nope, there's Buddy Hield back in action. So who came out here? Paul Reed subbed out of the game in exchange for Buddy Hield. They wanted a little more offensive firepower. We'll see what that ultimately translates to. Maxey kicks to Lowry for a deep three. Air balls, bad miss. Was he fouled? And he was fouled. Wow, big call by the referee there. They called an offensive foul. Wow, okay. Kyle Lowry has not been friends with the referee down this stretch here. Appreciate you, Glitch, throwing this in the chat. Yeah, I'm with you, Zach, that I would have kept Paul Reed in the game here. Is Nick Nurse challenging this now? I can't believe they did call an offensive foul. Kyle has been pretty obnoxious down the stretch here. I don't think you can take him out because I think you need his ball handling and another guy that can run the offense outside of Maxey, but some really frustrating decisions down the stretch here. All right, so we got 3:04 left to play. This is a pretty big call that if they change this to 3 free throws, 3 points would change things. If you can extend this from a 6 to a 9-point lead, it's a big swing with 3 minutes left to play. But if they do call it an offensive foul, yeah, I mean, Hornets are still very much in this game. That as much as I can praise the performance of guys like Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, Kyle Lowry, if they don't get a win, it's all for nothing. And this is a game that they cannot let slip away. So now it's time to tighten up a little bit. Yeah, and totally agree here. Kyle should know better than to antagonize refs down the stretch. That is what it looked like on that last play. When they went to timeout beforehand, looked like he was making quite a point with the referees, and then gets that call for an offensive foul immediately after the fact. I don't think that's exactly a coincidence there. Kyle should be a coach. I think he will be one day, possibly just next year. And they are reviewing this to see exactly what the call on the floor. So I feel like an idiot saying Lowry makes the right plays. Definitely not in the fourth quarter. In his defense, that's definitely not an offensive foul to me. I think Kyle Lowry is correct. That looks like a natural shooting motion watching the replay. Yeah, I think this is just a straight up no call, but I think the ref overdid it by blowing his whistle. I don't think it was fouling Cody Martin. It's absolutely not an offensive foul on Lowry unless they're hitting him with a flopping call, but he did get hit. I think that would be wrong if this goes as a flopping against Kyle Lowry. To me, that's fair play. Natural shooting motion should have been a no call is what I think that is. We'll see what they ultimately call this. I don't believe they can do that. I don't think they can go from a call to a no call. I think you can either change it. Yeah, I don't know what the referee is going to do here. I don't think there's anything strong enough to overturn it. I'm kind of with you, Prince, here. Doesn't look strong enough to return it. We bench Paul for Batum. Absolutely illegal. Coach Jackson chiming in saying we need to get this win because we are slipping towards the play-in. These games, we have to get the win. Totally agree. This is one that they cannot leave on the table. Crew chief looks like they're discussing the final call on this Kyle Lowry situation. Charles chiming in saying, call me crazy, but if Sixers need a big win for defense and they're relying on consistently injured covered, I'd rather have the Sixers have healthy 27-year-old Stanley Johnson instead of old injured Cove. I don't mind Stanley Johnson. That's a guy that would have been worth kicking the tires on to me, but I do think they're too late in the game at this point that they're rolling with what they got. Get comment. If we win this and the Heat lose, we should get the 5 seed. Yeah, they can climb. Still a lot of ball left to play. And they did announce it. Looks like the Sixers are still arguing Buddy specifically in the ref's ear, which I do like. I do like that out of Buddy. Kyle looks like he's taking himself away, now talking to another referee. So, yeah, this call definitely did not go in the Sixers' favor. So I assume the offensive foul maintained. And, yep, we will have Hornets ball coming out of the break here. Miles Bridges making the inbounds. Damn, Sixers are all giving these refs an earful. Batum doing the same thing on the inbounds. Playing a little full court. I like that. Ball inbounds now as the clock ticks under 3 minutes. Grant Williams with the ball. He's got Kyle Lowry on here. Tough matchup here. Got to play D. Kicks out to Mitic, who blows by Tobias. Tobias is horrible at overcommitting on those. He does it all the time. Miles Bridges with a step back fadeaway 3. Tough shot. And fellas, we got a 3-point game with 2:38 left to play. Not what we needed. Oh boy. All right. Got to get a bucket here. Kyle Lowry with the ball. Hands it off to Batum. Batum with a little dribble handoff to Maxey. Maxey's got Cody Martin on it. They run a screen for Buddy Hield, but he does not have a shot available. Looking to get the ball to Tobias. They clear out on that side. He's got Bridges on. I don't love this matchup from Tobias' standpoint, but he has been good tonight. Spins into a jumper and gets it. Well done. That's a big bucket by Tobias Harris. That is a grown man's bucket for Tobias. They needed that. Yeah, tough shot by Bridges, but even better by Tobias Harris. We love to see that. Sixers back on defense now. Shoot a three and drain it. Wow. Big shot by Grant Williams there, and it is a 2-point game with 2 minutes left to play. They cannot put this team away. The Sixers cannot put the Charlotte Hornets away without Brandon Miller and without LaMelo Ball. This team is frustrating. Those are a couple unreal shots. I mean, that one was a good shot by Grant Williams. They should not have left him as open as he was. The Bridges one beforehand, I'll give a little hat tip to. How the Bucks got the -11 Sixers spread. Yeah, I that didn't make any sense to me either. Dom saying Tobias does not play defense. He's been pretty bad defensively. I'm with you. Particularly getting blown by. Maxey with the ball now. He's got Miles Bridges on him. I like this matchup. Let's go at him. Got Tobias ball into his hand. I don't love closer Tobias, but he's got Cody Martin on him. 5 on the shot clock. Kicks it to Buddy Hield, who can't hit a three. What is the call on the floor? I think Batum was tied up, I believe. So this will be Batum shooting free throws. Fighting for the rebound. It looks like Grant Williams had him hooked. I believe that is the call on the floor. So we will have no ball out of bounds. Ball in Maxey's hand now. So still Sixers ball. 1:34 left to play. Maxey looking to get after it, trying to create his own shot. Got 4 on the shot clock. 3, 2, need a shot. Tobias for 3. Knocks it down. Big shot from Tobias Harris. This might be a season turnaround game for Tobias Harris. He needed to see that shots like that go through. Big time 3 here. And Tobias Harris is becoming him, but they still got to close out. Got a 5-minute game. 1:12 left on the clock. Grant Williams with the ball in his hands. Gives it off to Miles Bridges. Bridges with Batum defending, attacking the rim. Tough finish. Good take by Bridges there. Ball inbounded. Maxey dribbling the clock up as we tick under a minute here. 1 minute exactly on the clock as we currently roll. Lowry sets a screen for Maxey. Again, they're trying to get the switch to get Mitic on him. Cannot do it. They're fighting through to make sure Cody Martin is maintaining. Maxey kicks to the corner for Batum. Can't hit. That would have been a big shot. But Buddy Hield pulls down the board. Great effort on the boards by both Tobias and Buddy, and they do get it. Maxey milking the clock here. He's still got Cody Martin. I think he's going to shoot this one. 5 on the clock. Takes it. Can't finish. Is he fouled? And he is. He is fouled. He absolutely was. I'm glad the call came with it. Wait, maybe not. Maxey's upset. Did they give him the foul here? He clearly got fouled. It looks like the whistle stopped. I don't know why or what other reason we would stop. He absolutely got fouled. Great rebound, by the way, and it was Buddy Hield who kicks it right out to Kyle Lowry. They milk the clock. Let me see a little replay of this. Maxey clearly taking Cody Martin off the dribble. Yeah, that's a foul. That's absolutely a foul. He had him again with the elbow as he went up. I don't know why he was so heated after the fact. I guess because the one ref missed it, but you got the call. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I totally agree with this comment, by the way, Dom. Maxey really does not get many calls at all. It is crazy that he does have one of the worst whistles in the league. I straight up agree with that. Oh, they called. So, wow, they did not give Maxey the call for. Somehow Kyle Lowry is shooting free throws. Yeah, agreed here, Nick, that I've never seen Maxey that upset. He's shown a little more personality lately, which I like to see. All right, Kyle Lowry at the line. Some big shots here. Lowry knocks down the first free throw. That extends it to a 4-point game. We got 30 seconds on the clock. Maxey's still complaining to the referee. He's got locked back in. We got a game to win, young fella. 30.8 on the clock. Maxey and Toby combining for a 60 piece. That's good looking. Good stat there. Shout out to you, Sean. All right, Kyle Lowry. Second free throw is good. 5-point game. Hornets calling a timeout. Coach Jackson saying, can this game get over with? This team is causing me to lose my hair on my back. I'm with you. The people are not ready for Mad Maxey. As much as like I'm joking about it, like I do think it's good that he's showing these types of emotion. 10 assists for Lowry tonight. Yeah, he's been very good tonight. Minus those little foul issues, he's been very good. I've been very satisfied with Kyle Lowry's level of performance tonight. Sixers just got to find a way to seal the deal. Big free throws here. Yeah, you get a stop and this game's over here, but you got to get a stop. We got just over 30 seconds on the clock. Stop here and a rebound and this game is over. As we sit in timeout, let's make sure we're running the likes up, getting this up. Let's see if we can get this over 200. We got 274 tuned in right now. Let's get to over 200 likes to make sure that RB's running those numbers up. We're getting it where we need to be. Appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me tonight. 271, 273 in the chat right now. Love it. We're up to 189 likes on the 189 likes on the stream. Let's get that number over 200. All right, as we start to check back in. Big possession here that this can define the game. Hornets going with the inbounds here. They get it in. They attack the rim way too blocked by Maxey. Blocked by Maxey from behind. What a play from Tyrese Maxey. He has made many game-changing defensive plays at this point. The game-winning, that's a game-sealing block for Tyrese Maxey. I thought they blew right by him. He was able to get it out the back. Impressive play by Tyrese Maxey. Look at that. Trey Mann, tough block by Tyrese Maxey. He had no angle there. I don't even know how he got to that ball. Incredible anticipation, ability to get to the athleticism, every part of it. Ridiculous stuff by Tyrese Maxey. Down to shoot 2 free throws down the other end. That is a big time play. I know it's not the same without RB. Give it to Tyrese Maxey, the young fella. Mad Maxey coming out in full swing. Yes, sir. W here. Maxey channeling his inner LeBron. You love to see it. Hey, I'll take that. Maxey just got to connect on a couple free throws here. Knocks down both of them. We have a 7-point game with 23 seconds left to go. So Hornets are going to have a fighting chance with 23 on the clock, but looking unlikely that Maxey's still heated. And Nick Nurse looking quite upset as well. I don't know. There definitely been some questionable refereeing down the stretch, but not enough to be up in arms the way that we're currently seeing. Right now, it should be business as usual. We have a 7-point game. Sixers holding the lead with 23 left to play. This is one where you got to find a way to finish. Eagles, man, chiming in here saying, where was all this from Tobias all season? Tobias will score 31 game, and then Tobias will score 10 next game. Shake my head. He's never consistent. Absolutely correct about that. But you know what? We are getting the good version of Tobias tonight, and we are going to celebrate that. Without Tobias having the 31 that he currently does, the Sixers have no business winning this game, which is disappointing to say in its own right. But you know what? They're taking care of business and finding a way, which is all we can ask. Tobias has hit some big shots tonight. That fadeaway 2 and that 3-pointer that he knocked down the stretch were both massive. And now Maxey and Harris have now combined for 64 total points. Tobias also with 12 rebounds, which is a big deal. I've been really frustrated with the lack of impact as far as rebounding, and showing Joel Embiid on the bench as well. Very cool. Yeah, Maxey, no respect, period. I think we're talking about the referee situation, I believe, which I'm with you. The Hornets with the inbounds now, 23 on the clock. Would like to get a stop here. Bertans air balls. I think it was blocked by Batum. Yeah, he's letting him know all about it too. So Kyle Lowry will dribble past half court, dribble out the clock, and the Sixers are going to get the win. 121-114. We do have a victory for Philadelphia, and we do have a victory right here in the chat, getting to 200 likes. Shout out to Glitch. Shout out to all the members in the chat. Appreciate all you guys for hanging. Got a couple minutes here that I hang out after the game. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that matchup overall. Couple comments, couple player of the game, whatever you got. Who was close? Let me know if you're closest to that score prediction. 121-114. I don't believe we saw that, but let me fire off a little because of the win here. Boom. Sixers lining it up. I'm going to play the song in my head. I love it. Play the song. Oh. Where is RB? Yep, and me filling in for RB. RB doing big things down in Miami right now. Appreciative of him for letting me fill in. So, Clyde, appreciate for you for coming in and hang it. Tobias is greater than Durant. I would not go that far. Getting a little interview from, looks like Buddy Hield after the game. Tony, appreciate you for coming and hanging. Tobias is greater than Mitchell. Why Nick Nurse won't give Terquavion Smith a chance? Yeah, it's interesting. Like, if it's kind of one of those now or never situations that when you think about how shorthanded they are, I like Terquavion Smith a little bit. A lot of it, to be honest. He's got a ways to go as far as his defensive ability, but I do think there's something to his shooting, and he's got to fill out. He's skinny, skinny. Sean's awesome, less emotional. Yeah, I am a little bit less than RB, so I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I love the way that he does it as well, but didn't want to fake something I'm not. So trying to do my best hanging in here. And ultimately, that is a big win for the Sixers. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to pull up some NBA standings right here. I want to take a look at what this does for the big picture. So as we can see, these are all crucial as far as what the Sixers outlook is moving forward. That little doubt that the Boston Celtics is going to run away with that top seed in the Eastern Conference with their 46-12 record, 8 games again ahead of the Cavs for that number 2 seed. Both the Cavs and Bucks tied 8 games back of the Celtics for that top seed. The New York Knicks at number 4, and the Sixers back into number 5, now 33-25 on the year. But look at the pack behind them. That the Magic also 13 games back. The Pacers also 13 games back. The Heat 13.5 games back. So still a lot of ball left to play, but it is this pack that the Sixers have to worry about. The Sixers will be back in action. That they have the Mavericks on Sunday. That is a going to be a big matchup as well. Tobias earned his paycheck, ... tonight. I like that comment a lot. Let them celebrate, go crazy. Yep, crumble cookie season. Great stream. Appreciate you for tuning in, Sean. Derek Smith needs some crumble cookies. Toby Bryant showed up. I love it. Toby greater than Michael Jordan. Hey, I'll take it. On tonight, he can have his flowers. And I do want to look a little bit more at the stats on both sides of things before we get out of here for the specific matchup. But Tobias Harris leading the way in, well, actually, Tyrese Maxey did ultimately pass him with his 33 points. Tyrese Maxey with 33 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds, shot 11 of 29 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3. Tobias Harris right behind him with 31 points of his own, added 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, shot 5 of 8 from 3. Really good stuff. 13 of 19 from the field. Efficient from Tobias as well. Kyle Lowry, a very good game with 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. Buddy Hield with 13 points on 3 of 8 from 3, 5 of 11 shooting. Also had 6 assists of his own. Good stuff there. Batum with 8 points on 2 made 3-pointers and 4 rebounds off the bench. Paul Reed with a nice 11 points and 8 rebounds. That's a great performance for him. Cam Payne with 5 points and 7 assists off the bench. And Ricky Council with 3 points, but 2 of them were very memorable. I'll give you that right there. Little Tobias love. You gotta give him his flowers on a night like tonight. That, medium giant, unwilling to do that Tobias always does this against shitty teams. Not excited at all for this. It's better than him not doing it. While I agree with you, while I'm with you that it would be ideal if he can do this on an every night basis, you got to take the wins when you get them. So as Evan Houdini 3 is saying, smash, like, share, subscribe, 76ers. Love every part of that. Do want to go over a couple team stats before we get out of here tonight. That on the game, obviously the Sixers winning 121-114. Sixers on the night shot 47.9% from the field. Worse from the field than the Hornets, who shot 51.2%. 12 more shot attempts on the night for the Sixers. That's a big deal. It's a pretty big margin there. Sixers shot 43.2% from 3, 19 of 44, 11 more 3-point attempts. I like that as well. Some good statistical trends. Out rebounding the Hornets 48-32, imposing themselves in that area. 38 assists on 46 made buckets. That is great numbers for the Sixers. 15 offensive rebounds. Great stuff. As much as it wasn't pretty, I'm liking a lot of these statistical trends. And I get it. It is the Charlotte Hornets. This isn't one that you're going to hang your hat on at the conclusion of the season and have this as a signature win. But you know what? Every win counts the same. They're all important. Tobias Harris earned $480,000 tonight. Unfortunately, correct. If Tobias can beat Tatum, then talk to me. Hornets are a joke. Yeah, definitely different bars that we're measuring up to right there between Jason Tatum, the best in the East, and the Charlotte Hornets, who are among the worst. Appreciate you to Glitch for sharing these. Guys, make sure you are checking out Sixers Digest, Pick Swap Media, and Fox Sports The Gambler as far as the YouTube channels that I run and help control and serve as content on. So on Sixers Digest, got a video out dropping talking about Joel Embiid's injury outlook, specifically his comments yesterday. Before tonight, still focused on the Sixers win against the Charlotte Hornets. That moving on to 34-25 or 35-25 on the year. A season high 38 assists on 46 made field goals. Very good team win tonight, and appreciate Glitch for the Twitter handle right here. As much as it wasn't pretty, as much as it was in doubt for a period of time, the Sixers got the win. They did accomplish what they hoped to do, a 7-point victory against the Charlotte Hornets. This is one that could prove to be crucial, that as we get to the end of the season, as Joel Embiid is scratching and clawing and hopefully returning to the floor, they might be just needing this one win as something that keeps them ahead of this team. Remember this as we're fighting down the stretch, how important this Hornets win could be. Hopefully they get some more of these. And as far as for the future, that Sunday they will be back in action against the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks are good, man. I think the Mavericks are a slept-on team across the NBA grand scheme of things. That I think this is a Mavericks team that has a chance at going deep in the playoffs this year. We know who Luka Doncic is, a guy that has a real argument for MVP. We know what Kyrie Irving can be as far as an option on, as a number 2 option on a championship contending team. And they got some other guys there as well that I love the big men that they have. Derek Lively, impressive as a lob threat. PJ Washington and Dan Gafford have both made their impacts felt since the trade deadline. So I love what they did from that side of things. The Mavericks are a team that do make me nervous. And when you think about matching up, I remember the game last year where everyone, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Luka Doncic, and Kyrie Irving all shot incredible, and they each put up 30-plus points, I believe it was, in that game last year. You don't have that many options to score. So if you don't find a better defensive effort or find a way to disrupt these guys with Luka and Kyrie, it's going to be trouble for the Sixers. It is a 1 o'clock start for that one. RB will still be away on Sunday, but there is somebody else filling in, so I will not be back in action. I know he told me. I forget exactly who it is, so my apologies there. Shout out to Prince saying a much-needed W. Absolutely. I think that's the best way to put it, that this team needed that. I thought everybody on this roster needed that. I think Tobias Harris needed that. Tobias, more than anyone, I think this is potentially a game that could change the outlook for his season, that this is he needed to see some of those big-time buckets go through the net, and ultimately that proved to be the case. So shout out to him to standing up and delivering when it mattered most. And Sean chiming back in saying no one can beat us with Joel Embiid. I'm with you. That is the reason for optimism for this Sixers team, that at the end of the day, they are a night and day different team without Joel Embiid. And that I do believe that because of that, they have an opportunity to, be better than they're showing to be. So if we can get Joel healthy back on the floor, then I do have faith that this team can go toe-to-toe with everyone. And again, this is an optimistic view. This is me putting my Sixers lenses on, having the best case scenario in mind, but potentially the best route to getting a healthy playoff run for Joel Embiid would be for him to get hurt at the moment he got hurt, that he now has this stretch of time to rest up, get healthy, heal, go through the rehab process, return to the floor, have a little ramp-up period, and then be ready for a playoff run. That it should not be lost on people that this was a downright historic season by Joel Embiid prior to the injury, the greatest individual season that I have ever seen at the NBA level. We're talking about more points than minutes on the floor. We're talking about impacting the game from a winning standpoint defensively, growing as a playmaker, just being up there, very clearly the best player in the NBA prior to injury. I don't want to have the Jokic debates tonight, but to me, it was not close before the injury. Glitch, appreciate you with the W stream, W me, appreciate that. We got Robin chiming in, say, I'll let you know if I see RB at the Jazz game here in Miami. I do believe that's where he's at. So yeah, go check that out. Let him know that I held down the fort here on the chat, and it was great hanging with you here. Got everyone is saying they barely beat the Hornets, but we just need to appreciate what was given to us. A win is a win is a win. I assume this is to my Joel Embiid love, but I don't take it back. That again, it will be lost in the history books because of the limited games. But seriously, these were historic numbers that Joel was putting up. The 30-10 streak, the consecutive 30-point games, the 35 point per game that he was averaging. If he can just be close to that level of action, they're going to be in good shape. And this is with each of these guys now having to learn how to play without him. That Tyrese Maxey now is more comfortable having that on his shoulder of being the primary option. I'm feeling all right about this. This was a good win for morale. Again, they're going to have more losses than wins during the Joel-less period. There's no doubt about it. Robin, appreciate you hanging. Thank you. But you know what? They took care of business tonight. So overall, we can rest pretty satisfied with that. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out from here. Once again, they're back in action on Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Dallas Mavericks. Charles chiming in saying needed the win, so all is good, and proof to Tobias because he be taking a lot of heat lately. Yeah, definitely been the guy. under the microscope lately, saying that Joel Tobias talk actually worked. Yeah. We'll see what happens from here. I think Tobias is probably the guy that I think I most have my eye on from here on out, that we will see how things shake out, what the outlook for him is, if he can continue to play at this level or be close to I don't expect him to drop 31 every night, but I can't have him dropping 8 points per game, which he has done multiple times over this recent stretch. Bryce chiming in saying, why do I see some call Nicholas Batum Nico? I'm kind of confused. I was a little confused by this as well. From my whole life, I remember him as Nick Batum, as his name is Nicholas, and he's gone by Nick Batum. But apparently, during his Clippers tenure, he elected to starting to want to be called Nico, and that is translated to him coming to Philadelphia. So Nicholas, Nico Batum, all the same guy. Still a guy that's a pretty solid basketball player, and that I'm happy to have on the Sixers team. But yeah, out of respect for him, I've tried to retrain my brain into going with Nico. Charles saying, I meant props to Tobias for a great game. Absolutely. Prince saying Maxey will only get better defensively. I trust. Absolutely. And the effort level is there with Maxey. There's never been a doubt about that. And that's what keeps me motivated and optimistic about him is you see the effort, you see the desire, the ability to take it personal, to look a guy in the eye and say, you're not beating me. All those types of conversations. And then I do think that there's something that clicked from the standpoint of his understanding for how to slide his feet right, how to get in front of guys. His defensive ability has a larger role on the ceiling of the Sixers team than people are crediting. That if he can be a plus defender, which I'm ready to argue that he is capable of being, there's obviously some matchups that he's not going to be able to handle because of his size. When you think towards that Celtics series, some of the matchups that he's going to have to be forced to endure are difficult. But he is a guy that when you put him against the guys somewhat his size or in that ballpark, he's capable, that he will compete. And there's been opportunities. That Celtics game, he stood up to Jaylen Brown, went chest to chest, and ultimately got the better of him for most of that game. Now, Maxey doesn't quite have the same squad behind him as that Celtics team, but he absolutely is. And yeah, tonight is front and center evidence that the great block by Maxey at the end. This is not the only time he's done that. He's had low-key a couple game-winning blocks, and tonight I think was especially impressive the way that he was able to sneak that out there. Shout out to Tyrese Maxey, man. That as much as Tobias, I'm giving plenty of shine to. They don't win. They probably still win that game. And Jimmy J, I've seen a couple of these comments. Jaylen Brown, 32 points, 11 of 14 shooting. Yeah, he had 2 turnovers from Tyrese Maxey picking his pocket, and ultimately a lot of those were not with Tyrese on him. You can pull up the matchup standpoints if you want. None of that. Probably a couple of it, but Tyrese got the better of Jaylen Brown in the one-on-one matchups, and you can't change my mind on that one. Again, he's got the squad behind him that Jaylen Brown has plenty of other options than to score, but I was very proud of the way that Tyrese Maxey was able to match up with Jaylen, and we will see what happens in the playoffs when we do see the Celtics when that inevitable matchup does occur. Am I the only one that thought Kyle Lowry didn't shoot much three-pointers? That is something that was one of the appeals with moving on from Pat Bev to Kyle Lowry, is Kyle is both a more willing and a more capable three-point shooter, that throughout his career, he's more offensive oriented. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons for why that this decision was made to go from Pat Bev to Kyle Lowry, is when you have Joel Embiid, pretty much the biggest factor in surrounding talent is everyone has to be a shooter. You have to be capable of spacing the floor. We've seen throughout times when you have the Ben Simmons of the world, the way that the floor just shrinks around Joel, and that makes life harder for everyone. So Kyle Lowry is a guy that is able to punish them in a way that, Pat Bev might not have been able to. So yeah, that is one of the biggest reasons why Kyle Lowry was here. And obviously all the veteran savvy, the Philadelphia ties, and all the other things that come with him as well. Very good Kyle Lowry game today, even with the fouls down the stretch, which were frustrating and poor decisions overall. Still ended with 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, playing 36 minutes per game. That's a lot more than I think I expected from Kyle Lowry, or frankly, he probably should be playing at this point in his career, but very happy with it. And overall, shout out to Kyle Lowry, man. So shout out to you guys for hanging with me tonight. Shout out to the Sixers for coming through with a dub. That is a big win, one that will advance it. I'm going to get ready to sign off on here. But again, appreciate you guys for hanging with me. Robin, shout out to you. Appreciate that. Make sure you're checking out my work on Sixers Digest as well as Pick Swap Media and RV. I don't believe went with an attempt to get Jimmy Butler back, but that's certainly on his list of agendas, so you cannot rule that out. Glitch, appreciate you throwing the links in here. Yeah, dropped a video talking about the Joel Embiid injury side of things on Sixers Digest. Also had a full podcast drop on PickSwap Media yesterday as well. Have a couple clips talking about Ricky Council and a little bit of injury stuff on PickSwap as well. And you can always catch me on Fox Sports The Gambler. Dropped a little picks and roll episode talking about the entire NBA slate earlier today. But once again, appreciative for RB for letting me jump on and take the reins and hang with you guys tonight. Excited that we did get a Sixers win. Make sure you guys stay posted for Sunday. There will be somebody else filling in for RB on the mic here. So there will be somebody to watch the game, follow along with. I appreciate you guys for taking in with me. Make sure we keep running up those numbers. Get those likes on the channel. Subscribe. Keep RB Philly Take growing to the moon. He's still taking over. He's down in Miami making money moves and plenty more in the future for RB. I'll be on doing some collab content with him hopefully soon. We do have a little plan in the works, hoping to launch. And another comment here. Appreciate you, Riaz, saying, Sean, do you think the Sixers can realistically avoid the play-in tournament? It seems these teams like Indiana and Miami are also inconsistent. I do think the Sixers have a chance at avoiding the play-in tournament. I don't think it's a guarantee they slide it in the standings the way people have. It's a tight pack, and I think some of this is dependent on when Joel Embiid can return to the floor. That I think that, obviously it's a different conversation if he comes back with 3 games to go versus 10 games to go and how much you can get with him in the regular season. But I do think that your point about them being inconsistent is super valid. That I think this Pacers team is a team that played their best basketball early on. Maybe they're seeing a little more progress in how Pascal Siakam is fitting into that equation and the way that he's contributing to this team. But I still think that they were a more dangerous team early on, and that's not the way that you win in the playoffs or boost yourself up the standings. Again, they've played a little better lately and can't count them out. The Heat are absolutely inconsistent, but they are dangerous. I will say the Heat scare me. And the other team in the mix to bring up is the Orlando Magic. That's the team that's the least fearful to me. The Magic, I think, have a ton of young talent, but it's a lot of mismatched parts that I don't think that are quite together. I think they need more shooting on that team. I think they have too many guys with overlapping strengths and weaknesses in a way that is not cohesive to team success. But it is about the Sixers. It's about them taking care of business, staying in their own lane, focusing on getting wins whenever they have the opportunity to do so. And that's exactly what the case was tonight, that they did ultimately rise to the occasion and get the job done in tonight's matchup. That's all that we can ask for is win the games that are in front of you. As much as we want to have these big picture conversations, it's all about the Sixers taking it night by night and finding a way to scrap to a win. Maybe they can get another win on Sunday to upset the Magic, have an opportunity, keep them at another one. And that would be a massive win. If they can get literally 3 or 4 surprising wins and just take care of business in the opportunities in the matchups in which they, are supposed to win, they should be good. That they did a nice job of getting off to a good start this year, that they had a little bit of cushion. That cushion has gone away quite quickly, but they're still in an okay spot. They're in the driver's seat. That as things currently stand, the Sixers are the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. Again, it's not perfect. They definitely have people looking over their shoulders, but they're in control of their own destiny, and they just got to take care of their own business. So appreciate the comment. I overall am more optimistic about the Sixers remaining out of the play-in bunch than I think most, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. So we will see what happens from here. Once again, the Sixers back in action on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks. Feeling somewhat optimistic about that game, although if they bring the same level of effort tonight, I don't know if that's the case. They're going to need the same performance from Tobias Harris, from Tyrese Maxey, but they got to clean up a couple things. Overall, a positive game tonight. I'm happy with the Sixers as a whole. Again, very appreciative of each of you for hanging out with me on here. Appreciative of RB for getting the chance. So make sure that you guys lock in on Sunday for whoever the guest is on here. And I'll be talking to you next time, either right here on RB Philly Take. You can catch me on all my channels on Sixers Digest, PickSwap Media, or Fox Sports The Gambler. Follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. I'll be back talking to you guys soon. Go Sixers. Trust the process.